What's up, guys? Welcome back to another David Rams live stream. Big special welcome to the Ram fam, as we're here to get into some more nonsense from atheists. I mean, we've done a couple of streams about Cosmic Skeptic, and him being probably the most notable atheist that's been speaking about veganism recently, unfortunately. And, well, we've got a couple more, as there has been a, like an atheist kind of... It's like an atheist channel, basically, that has had a couple of atheists on it, unsurprisingly. And they talked about animal rights and veganism and said some weird stuff, and it was pretty inconsistent and a little bit messy. So we're going to get into that today. I am pleased to announce that we do have Lawrence here as well, who I'll bring in now. What's up, Lawrence? How's it going?
Yo, good.
Good, great. Nice and chatty. Love it. We're ready for a good one.
Well, we're here to represent the vegan atheists.
Yes, the vegan atheists. Yeah, exactly. Or in my case, anti-theist, which is just so dramatic, but apparently that's what I am. So yeah, Lawrence is here to get into this as well. You're more versed with this community, I think. I think you've spent more time, you know, I think you know more about these guys than I do.
My teenage years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've never really been into this community, so good to have you here just to shed some, maybe you know some of the theory or logic they're going through. Maybe you've been through it yourself. I don't know. We'll see. But your expertise and your book smarts is always great for these streams, because I have exactly zero book smarts. I'm just like very common sense kind of street level smarts. So it's always good to have a reader in the room to get into any of these complex topics.
Dyslexic reader.
Are you really?
Yeah, I got a report and everything.
Oh, right. I was going to say that was a pretty fucking low-hanging fruit joke there, mate. It's just going after the dyslexic people. If you're not dyslexic, I was like, man, that would have been really mean. Like, holy shit. All right.
No, I definitely am. I've got the certificate, so I can make those jokes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would say, it's kind of weird if I say good, but it's whatever. I mean, it's a weird context. All right. Yeah. Well, cool. So, yeah. What we'll be doing is we'll be getting into that video. We'll be reacting to it and reacting to what they say. So what happens in the video is that there is a caller. I'll show you guys up on the screen kind of what this is the video we're going to look at. All right. So it's called The Line. It's Forrest Valkai and Gutsick Gibbon, who are two. I think they're pretty. I mean, I checked their channels out. They both got pretty sizable audiences, like 100K subscribers. This video was actually just a random call in, and there's one caller that wants to talk about animal rights in a weird sense, and you'll see why it's weird. We'll get into it. We'll be reacting to this. This is what we're going to have a look at. So how it's going to be today, as usual, Lawrence and I are going to be getting into this. That we're not going to be looking at the chat too much, guys. So if you do want to say something, if you got something you really need us to see, you really want us to hear, then use the Streamlabs tip. It's right there in the pinned comment. That's how you can get your comment up on the screen, and we'll talk about it. Or you can use the super chat as well. Both options are available to you. I do prefer the Streamlabs tip, because it's easier on my side. It's a much better system for me. But if you want to use super chat, you're welcome to, and we'll talk about what you want us to talk about. We'll take a look at it. So, and just a couple things to clarify before we dive in as well. I know I called this atheist anti-vegans. I mean, they're not necessarily, but we can I'll tell you what, let's leave that up for grabs. It's just easier to describe them that way for the sake of a title. They may not be necessarily anti-vegan. At least one of them, I don't think she was really like anti-vegan. The other two, that's up for debate. It's all up for debate. And I also want to say one more thing before we get in, that this is live. They did this live, okay? So they say some weird stuff, and we can criticize it, but just remember that when you're live, you say a lot of shit, and I'm going to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt sometimes, that it's just live, you know? Sometimes you just say stuff without thinking, and yeah, it sounds really bad. So just keep that in mind as well. I want to be reasonable here, that these are not things they've taken like 3 or 4 days to figure out and then talk about. This is just on the spot. So let's not be as mean as we've been to Cosmic Skeptic, because he literally spent probably hours preparing that stupid fucking statement. He deserves the shit, right? These guys... Yeah, we're going to give him some shit, but it's not going to be quite as intense, I don't think. I don't know. What do you think, Lawrence? Should we be more charitable than usual today, or do you want to go in hard?
I mean, like, I agree. Like, there should be some level of, like, giving them the benefit of the doubt because it's live. But also, like, they
also fuck
it's
them.
not like well, no, but also it's like they're running like an atheist live stream calling things, so they're clearly both relatively intelligent people, presumably, although maybe we can't assume that.
Okay.
And also, like, they have put themselves out there publicly, so it's like,
fair
you
enough.
know, we can one respect it, but also they're up for grabs, aren't they?
Well, in which case then, okay, let's just see how we go. It depends on what they say.
Yeah.
From the thumbnail, you guys have seen that they say some stupid shit. So when stupid shit comes up, we'll treat it like it is, right? Let's do it that way. So
yeah,
all right then.
I wouldn't drop the C-bomb on them straight away.
No. Let's not drop the C-bomb. So the video, it starts around here. So just to give you the context, these guys are reacting to, well, not reacting. They're having call-ins, phone-ins, and they're taking requests about what to talk about, stuff like that. And yeah, this is the caller that talks about the animal rights stuff. Let's jump in. Lawrence, just let me know if anything's wrong on your side.
Yeah, cool.
Guys, we're using a new system here. It's a watch party. So this screen here that you're looking at, it's not actually YouTube. It's a different website, and we are able to watch it at the same time. And when I pause it, it pauses on his laptop too. We don't know if it's going to work, so let's just give it a try. All right.
And I keep seeing it, and I can't. There, okay, I finally got rid of it. I didn't want to do it, but I couldn't stop messing with it, and I kind of call it out. So I've got come up on the line here is Caroline, who wants to talk about animal rights versus animal welfare. Specifically, wanted to know some stuff about zoos. Caroline, you're on the line. How are you?
Hi, how you guys doing? I'm excellent.
Oh, hold up. We lost Lawrence for a second. Let's see.
Oh.
You disappeared, and I don't know why. Okay.
Well, can you still hear?
Yeah,
me?
no, it's okay. You're back.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So what exactly do you want to ask about? That's what I've got here.
That's so strange. Every time I push play on the on the watch party, you disappear. I don't understand why.
Have you on Streamlabs? Have you locked the feature that's having me up on screen?
Locked it on screen. I don't know what that even means, man. I just don't understand why it would take you off to what I've. Okay, it seems to be okay now. All right. Okay, we're good.
Animal rights versus animal welfare.
Cool. Yeah, so this is in reference to a show. It was you and Jimmy. You had mentioned, I think a month ago, that you guys weren't fans of zoos. And, you know, it's just been kind of eating at me because, you know, I did work at a zoo. I currently work in animal research, which, you know, to me, like, they do kind of have a lot of similarities. And I wanted to see if maybe we can kind of chip away at why we believe that zoos are evil or just unethical.
So basically on their show before, just for anyone who's not getting the context, they've been talking about zoos and they shit on zoos. They were saying zoos are unethical, or somebody else on the show was saying that. And she's worked at zoos, and the person calling in is an animal researcher. She does testing or research on animals, but maybe not testing, but she researches animals in some way or another. And she's annoyed about it. Right? That's where we're up to. So let's see how they respond. Did you want to say anything, Lawrence, or should we just carry on?
No, that cleared it up because I didn't fully understand what the context was.
Yeah, that's basically this person's upset because they've been chatting about zoos, basically, saying they're unethical,
So let me be clear. I am fine with zoos. I love zoos. I go to zoos. Zoos are great. My main point was simply that it's undeniable that the best place for any one animal is in its natural habitat out in the wild. And zoos are awesome because they're usually used for scientific research. They usually, they breed between the zoos rather than capturing from the wild. They do have actual biologists working there to like take care of things properly. I'm super cool with that. There are just some things like when you work at when you have those zoos that are more like roadside attractions or things like that, and you kind of have some issues with like how far are we willing to go for education versus actually just like putting a thing in a cage it doesn't need to be. It's just a fuzzy area, and I don't want to sit here and pretend like it isn't a little bit awkward to say like, oh yeah, no, it's totally fine, it's all great. But I'm never gonna I'm not speaking out against zoos or anything like that, and I don't have like a big issue with animal research or anything like that.
It's really weird to me. This answer's so it's so kind of pathetically diplomatic. It's like I love them. They're amazing. There are some that aren't so good, but I'm ultimately not against them. But yeah, if some of them are just doing it for not research, then that's a problem. But every zoos are fine. It's like I don't really get that. Make your mind up here. It feels like he's just trying to please the caller, maybe. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I just don't really understand. Like, I mean, he says he doesn't. He says it's bad to like unnecessarily put a thing. He says, but like, you know, an individual in a cage. But it's like, what does he think zoos are? Like, okay, okay. I mean, they're bigger cages than like I think he was talking about a petting zoo, basically.
Right.
Like, sure, they're bigger cages, but it's still a cage, and they're still not, you know, it's still, they're not there for their best interests.
Of course.
If it was for their best interests, there wouldn't be people paying, you know, £5 a go to just go and gawk, is that
gawk? Yeah.
Stare at them.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And often with kids tormenting them and all this.
And they act like this idea like, oh, they only breed between the zoos and it's for research. Okay, let's imagine that Steelman him. It's for research. Okay, yeah, it is for research. That's why they're doing this. Does that make it how does that make it okay? They're breeding animals between zoos and captivity to research them. Well, I guess it's named the trait, isn't it? It's okay. If this wouldn't be okay to do to a certain race of people, like humans, any race of people, basically. But let's say, what's the difference then? If you found some very interesting new race of humans in a forest and you wanted to research them, then what's the trait difference that makes it okay to do it to, I don't know, penguins, but not okay to do it to this new race of humans from a tribe that we've never seen before, that you want to study them and research and breed them in captivity? Do you know, if we get down to that point, it's it doesn't really add up. But you know, I've watched this, by the way. I watched it very, very fast on 2x speed just to see if there was anything worth reacting to and responding to, and there is. And it gets worse. It gets so much worse. Some of the stuff this guy says, you wouldn't believe. He contradicts himself constantly. Yeah,
I think you can actually push what you said further, because the thing that you were saying about finding like a new race of people, like presumably those people are like innocent, right? But like let's say you take like, so what would be the human equivalent of a zoo? It would be a prison, right? Basically.
Yeah.
We already have prisons.
Yeah.
Now, okay, there's a debate over should everyone who's in prison be in prison? You know, obviously there are certain laws we don't agree with and we don't think people should be in prison for. But let's take for the sake of argument that all the people in prison have done something horrible. Would we still be okay with people coming along and saying, oh, well, we're going to get people from different prisons and we're going to put them in a room until they're, like, and we're going to nudge them towards procreating, and then we're going to like study them and test and, you know, test things with them and stuff and completely control everything about their reproduction, all of this sort of stuff. I mean, even with like criminals, like people would not be okay with that.
So messed
but
up.
These are like innocent animals.
Exactly. It's so, exactly. It's a good point, man. By the way, thank you for the tip. Testa de la soya. It says it's in Spanish, and I speak Spanish, but I'm trying to figure out what this one says. I used to speak Spanish anyway. It says nunca va a dar, nunca te voy a decepcionar. Never going to, I don't know what dar, give, never going to give up, is it? And I'm never going to lie. I'm not sorry. My Spanish is rusty, but yeah. Thank you for the tip.
Your English, mate.
Yeah, it's about as rusty as my English. Yeah, they're both terrible. Thank you so much for the tip. And I know that Nick Leiston, if you're here, and Astro Broccoli, if you're here, let me know, because I missed a couple of your tips in the last live stream. So please let me know if you're here, and I'll answer the questions that you asked last time if you're here in the chat. So just make yourselves known, guys. All right. Let's get back into this and see. It gets worse, guys. It gets much worse.
I think we're definitely doing things right.
Yeah, I think, you know,
so if I came across harsher than I should have, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, I think that it's when you try and quip it, it's hard to put all of that information into one.
I'm sorry, I just realized something, Lawrence. It's the super chat. The tip was Aditya. And he had translated, never going to give you up, never going to let you down. But that's actually not true, though. It's in Spanish, it's never, okay, it is never going to give you up. But the second bit is not never going to let you down. It's never going to lie to you, which is why I was confused. Aditya, you got to learn Spanish, bro. It's not a Rickroll, doesn't count. Good try, though. I'm getting tired of this, to be honest with you. And also, he put in the chat 3-0. Actually, it's 3-1. Because I rickrolled Aditya Soitheist today, guys. Just want to make that known, okay? Anyway, let's refocus. Sorry about that, Lawrence. Sorry about this super unprofessional behavior right now. I need to refocus on these atheists. Are you still there, Lawrence? Hello?
No, it's all good.
Oh, wait, his connection has just gone absolutely fucked. Lawrence, restart your system. We've lost you. Hello? He's gone. What the fuck? Well, we lost Lawrence, guys. What can I tell you?
Am I back?
Yeah, just now. What's wrong with your... Mate, you're in England. How could you possibly have a Wi-Fi problem? It's so delayed.
But I'm in Lewisham.
Dude, restart. It's so delayed, man. Refresh the page.
Okay, cool. I'll join again.
Just refresh it. It should be fine. Oh my goodness. Guys, what are we doing about this, huh? This is why I don't have people on the channel anymore. There's all these issues. All right, is he back? You're back? I don't know. No.
Right, well, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can, mate, but it's like absolute dog shit, mate. Like and there's a big delay as well, I think. Yeah, big delay, yeah?
All right, let me start everything again. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
All right. In the meantime, guys, if you've got something you want to say, some questions, some stuff you want us to check out, let me know. Cliff says you simply have to re-review Vegan Gains versus Matt Dillahunty. It's absolute fire. Possibly. Well, that's going to be actually in the 10-hour Vegan Gains stream, which is coming up in a week from today, actually. So that will be coming up. We'll be doing that 10 hours of Vegan Gains and that video. Cliff, could you link me that video, mate, in Instagram if you want to DM me? That would be very useful. I'd appreciate it. Damn, if I'd have just checked, I get notifications on my phone from PayPal when you guys send through tips. So I could have seen it was Aditya, actually. It actually showed up on PayPal. That would have been a good way of getting past his nonsense. Right. What else is going on here? I see Christina Van Beek is here. Hello, JP and Julia. What's up, guys? Robin Hood, Samuel, Simon. What's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Apparently, we got him back. Are you back?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what happened there.
Mate, it's your computer having a deficiency, obviously.
Yeah, B12. It even extends to the technology we use. No, my internet just cut out. It just turned off.
Oh.
But it's turned straight back on. I don't know what happened.
All right, cool. Well, let's waste no time. Let's jump straight back in then.
All right, sick.
Cool. All right. There we go.
Sentence, so I can see there's complexity.
Yeah.
But, I know that there's a lot of, animal rights adjacent believers in the atheist community. And, I know that it is a hot button topic. I just know that there's some nuance to this.
Well, it's kind of it's similar to like the veganism debate, in my opinion, where it's like, yeah, no, for sure, we could always be doing things better. And so you have this choice of saying like, hey, there's a lot of nuance here, and there's a lot of good that comes out of this industry, I guess you could call it. And there are some things that could definitely be improved upon versus we should shut all of this down and never, ever be a part of this again. And anyone that's a part of this is an asshole. And like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, the meat industry needs to be fixed. It's horrendous. Also, humans evolved to eat meat, so we should keep doing that. And
oh my god,
yeah, no.
that's like primary school level argumentation, man. I mean, that's unforgivable even on a stream. That's unforgivable. That's phenomenal. So that's just two things there, right? We got two things to comment on. Or I've at least got two things to comment on. One was the point about, if it just needs to be improved or it could be improved, then we should keep doing it. We're talking about, imprisoning animals from the wild, animals that are used to being, some of them can fly and swim and all these different things, and keeping them in this tiny confinement, right, for the sake of profit most of the time. So, I mean, I don't know how you can improve on that, right? Zoos There's a difference between.
Well, he was talking about the meat industry there.
But that was the first point. I'm talking the first point. We was talking about conservation and zoos, right?
Okay.
And of course, there are conservation centers, there are rehab centers for animals, and that's not a zoo. A zoo is a zoo. It's got a specific purpose. They do conservation stuff on the side so they can greenwash basically, but ultimately a zoo is for people who are paying come stare at animals, right? And they want to make the animals as profitable as possible. That's a zoo. So no, I don't know really how you can improve on that without changing it from a zoo into a full rescue, conservation, rehab effort, right? Personally. And the second point about the meat industry, that's the juicier point here. The meat industry is really bad, but we evolved to eat meat, so we have to keep eating it. What, man?
It's just like level 0 BS, isn't it? It's just like no brain cells were used in the processing of this thought or whatever.
Phenomenal. It's like the argument is the same as the argument of my arms and these little stumpy things on the end of my hands. Well, they evolved to be able to do this. So that means I should punch. Because that's something they can do, that they evolved to do for self-defense, for taking things off others that I need. Like, I can be stronger and take food so my family survives. So I should continue. That's how they evolved. So I should keep doing it, right, guys? Lawrence, what do you think? Can I come over and beat you up because I evolved to be able to do it?
Well, you could try, son.
That's what it's evolved for. That's why we can make a fist. That's why it's a good, strong... You can punch things. That's the point. It evolved for that reason. Yeah, great logic there, mate. Solid logic.
I think the only other thing I'd have to add is that he kind of like falsely positions himself as being like some reasonable middle person.
Right.
You know how he's like, this is the situation at the moment where there's like horrible things going on.
Right.
And vegans, and then he goes like everything needs to be like closed down. Something acting as if it's like some extreme position, which I guess if you compare it to what's going on now, it's extreme, but it's extremely near the correct, it's like extreme towards the correct, direction.
Right.
So yeah, he I don't know, he's kind of positioning himself as being like between two extremes of going, whoa, guys, look, like, we can keep on doing it, but we got to do it better. And it's like, well, no. I mean, if you applied that to like child sex trafficking,
mate.
it's like it's not gonna.
Way to take it like fucking about as low as you could possibly get. You could have used any example, any example out there. You chose the most fucking heinous thing you could think of.
Well, I got to choose something that he's going to agree with.
I mean, there's quite a lot of choice, man. I mean, you could have just said
given how far he's sunk already.
But yeah, go on, continue.
Well, that was basically I was just saying, you apply it to any sort of immorality that he doesn't like.
Right.
He would not like, this would not like cut it.
Yeah, he wouldn't sit in the middle on a topic. Yeah, exactly. Most people are the same. They would never sit in the middle and play this position of, oh, everyone's got a good point on things they care about. Like a feminist would never sit there and be like, well, some misogyny is okay. No, that wouldn't happen. They'd be like, no, misogyny needs to end. And nobody would say, that's an extreme position. You're an extremist.
Yeah.
No, they would say, no, that's a good extreme. I'm extreme too. I want that to be gone. I don't want sexism around. I don't want men to abuse women. So yeah, I agree. Right. On any of the other hot button topics, basically, like literally any of them, most people who are of a sound mind and aren't complete scumbags would agree that it's not extreme to say we want an end to racism or sexism. They would all say, yes, the end is the goal. There is no comfortable amount of racism that we're all happy with. So then why is it a problem for a vegan to say there's no comfortable amount of animal exploitation that we're happy with? Why is that extreme? But the other movements, it's not extreme. They're just, that's fine. Well, it's just because ours is less popular, basically, isn't it? Yeah. Good point that you brought up there. We see how we could get through it without talking about fucking child. you see, man. Jesus.
Well, I just wanted us all to find common ground, and I thought that's something that everyone is going to be universally against.
You're right. I get the logic. Let's get back into some more of this nonsense. Actually, I was being too charitable at the beginning. It actually is quite bad, so we can go harder.
And like the same thing with zoos. Yeah, there's been a bad history of zoos, and yeah, there are a lot of zoos out there that suck. Fuck SeaWorld in general, you know what I mean? But like also, like there's a huge benefit
it's
societally.
funny you mentioned SeaWorld though, because SeaWorld does get a lot of flack, and I think that there's a lot of opinions about having cetaceans in captivity. That you can have the opinion that having large animals that typically need a lot of space in captivity probably shouldn't be there, but SeaWorld is one of those institutions that overall their impact is it's for animal welfare, and focusing just on the bad is, I think, counterproductive. And
I'm sorry, what? SeaWorld overall is good for animal welfare. That's the point she's trying to make here. Does anyone have any idea why she would be saying that? Because she kind of glossed over the point and didn't actually get into it.
The only thing I can think of is that she might say like, well, if they're in captivity, they don't have to like brave the sort of wild.
But they're being bred in captivity, right?
No, I know that's why it would be bollocks.
Or even if they're being captured. So what the argument is that, okay, if you're going to give somebody arguably what you believe personally to believe to be a better life, then you're justified in kidnapping them and forcing them into a prison. So if I believe that you, Lawrence, or no, take a kid. If I believe that somebody else's child,
always going for the kids.
If I believe that, because they're vulnerable, like animals are, we're smarter and more, we have more technology and stuff. So if I see a child and I'm like, hey, I think you'd be better off locked in here with me, unable to leave, rather than going out into the world. I'll pay for all your shit. I'll do all your health. I've got more money than your parents. I can take care of you better. And actually, you'll never need to leave the house from the moment you're born until the moment you die. I'll take care of everything. Therefore, you don't have a choice. That doesn't seem like a very logical. If that's what she's going for, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and also like given that they often breed them in captivity, even that point doesn't stand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Also, by the way, we got TVTA tipped $3.61. Thank you, mate. It says, I think it's a spectrum like most things. It goes from horrendous animal abusing, money making places to nature reserves and sanctuaries. I think, there's probably some blurry lines too. I've been to some places, no, not some. I've been to one or two places across the world, mainly in Asia, where we've been told this is 100%, this is a conservation place. They're doing it for animals that rehab. But when you get in there, they are kind of also a little bit zooey. They're not zoos. It's not a zoo, but you can pay to see the animals. But their purpose of it being there, none of these animals are bred or bought. They're all rescued animals or taken from places. So that, I don't really see a problem with that, but I know some vegans do. Like a rescue center that also allows people to see the animals because they worry it's a slippery slope, which I'm empathetic with that. I can imagine it is a slippery slope, if the wrong person buys it next or takes management and then they're like, oh, money driven, it can be, it can be tempting, can't it? To make money off animals.
Yeah. And some people make this point about sanctuaries as well. They sometimes say that sanctuaries can be on a slippery slope because you can have sanctuaries that they just take in animals from whatever industry. They just look after them privately. It's like a private sanctuary. Maybe people can visit to like help out, but like they're not open to the public or something. But then you've got sanctuaries that do all the same stuff, but they're open to the public and people come. And then some people start to make the argument, oh well, are they using the animals for the public's entertainment?
I know, I've heard that.
And I think it's all a gray area because, like, so for example, me, I volunteer at a sanctuary. The one I volunteer at, half of the year, there or thereabouts, it's like shut to the public, so only volunteers go there. But then during like the summery time, it is open to the public. But whenever the public are there, they're given like a specific tour, and veganism is always talked about in the tour, and the money goes to literally helping the animals just live. So
that's
I don't
something
see an issue with that.
Yeah, that's something I've said this before, that I've actually said that imagine if you got a place and it rescues bears from zoos and from circuses and from abuse cases, and then they have loads of these different types of bears, and some of these bears, they they're still doing some of the things they did in zoos or circuses. Like some of them still want to play with stuff in a weird way, or they do tricks and funny things, and people are interested in that, and people paying to come and watch them would enable the sanctuary to continue going. I mean, it's a very gray area, but like I don't see, with proper restrictions and ensuring that nobody gets carried away and that nobody who runs the place starts to, you know, go off down that spiral, I don't see a problem with that at all. Like if somebody coming in to watch a bear dance of their own accord, by the way, no one's making them do it. They learn how to do it. They just do it now because it's like a learned behavior. If someone's watching that, paying money, and that money goes into rehabilitating that bear so that they have a better life and they live longer and eventually, hopefully, they stop doing these behaviors. It's weird, isn't it? It's great, but I kind of feel I don't feel that I don't have a problem with that actually, but it needs these. There need to be a lot of things that would need to be met. Like it couldn't be promoted because of that. It couldn't be, the people who run it need to be actual ethical people so it doesn't get out of hand. And you would want to. You can't control the narrative completely, but you would want your narrative to be, this is funny and it is cute, but it came from a horrible, this came from horror. This bear has been forced to do this. You know, it come with the story, you know what I mean? But yeah, I understand this is vague, but what they're talking about isn't any of this stuff. We're just going off on a tangent here. So let's go back in and continue with this. Because as again, we're still not at the worst bit, guys. It gets so much worse. There's some of the things, they actually have a proper vegan discussion, and they actually talk about Cosmic Skeptic as well. I should have mentioned that earlier. They briefly talk about Cosmic Skeptic. Damn, I had that in my notes to say at the beginning to hook you guys in. Now we're already, how many minutes in? And the hook moment is gone. No, I mean, they do talk about him, but they refuse to talk about him by name for some reason, because they say they don't want to start internet drama. Tough shit. We're not idiots. We know who you're talking about. You caused internet drama. All right.
Know that I'm going to get eaten alive in chat for that opinion, but it's just another one of those nuanced, like you can have strong opinions about it, but still understand that there's good that comes out of it.
It would be incorrect to say that there is absolutely no good that comes out of places like SeaWorld. Because
it would be incorrect to say that there's absolutely no good that comes out of most horrible industries, right? That's what a weird argument. If I say like, it would be completely incorrect to say that there is absolutely no good, and how are we defining good, but that comes out of racism. There could be, for some people, i.e. racists, there's lots of good that comes from it's subjective, right? So that's that statement really kind of confused me. It's like, what a strange thing to say.
Yeah, well, it's also just sort of like a non-point, non-sequitur, because it's like, so basically you're just saying, okay, so there are evil industries and good stuff comes out of them.
Okay, yeah, well, some good. Yeah.
Why else would the industry exist? That's why they set it up, so they can get stuff out of it which they think are good. Like, clear, that's just by definition.
Right.
There's no industry in the world that I can think of where someone set it up and it doesn't have any good impact. No one sets up a system that just has bad
no one
impact.
Gets anything from it. It benefits no one.
Yeah,
yeah,
we just continue it.
That's such a good point.
It's just so dumb.
That's such a good point, man. That's a really strange point. Like,
at the end of the day, you know, if even if they are holding these animals in bad conditions, if they are using them to teach people to be like to go out and do nature conservation, things like that, or if they're donating their profits to nature conservation, things like that, that's also good.
Oh my God. So if they're mistreating animals, as long as they're teaching people about animals and maybe donating some profits to places that help animals, then it's okay. Am I strawmanning him, or is that basically what he was saying?
I think that's what he was saying. Yeah, he was
wild, man. You don't think that's wild? Like, what the fuck what kind of logic is this? Again,
because you can.
Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, you can do the good stuff without engaging in the bad stuff.
Right.
Like, they're not like intimately linked.
No.
Or like tied to each other.
It's just so strange that people act like this when it comes to animals, but they would never act like this when it comes to any human on Earth. And then again, we have to go down that path of what exactly is the determinant. Because for these guys, it's not religion. For a lot of people, it would be, well, God said the animals are here for us. Okay, but these are atheists. So logically, give us the answer. What makes it okay to treat animals like... It's okay to mistreat an animal as long as some people get good from it and as long as they send some money to a place that looks after animals. Okay, so it's okay to mistreat children as long as some people get some good from it and we send some money to other places that look after children. It doesn't track. It doesn't... You'd never say that, right? So again, what's the difference exactly? I'd love to hear his answer to that without using religion, because like I said, most people try to use religion. That's the go-to. Well, it's God, blah, blah, blah. Or these are people that's not what they can do. So I just love to hear it. And they don't ever get down to that, by the way, in this video. But
Oh really?
No.
I would guess they'd go to something like intelligence, you know, like we have the capacity to build civilization.
Yeah, but then you already know what the retort to that is. You already know that makes no sense, right?
It's still bollocks.
It is bollocks. Because if it's intelligence, then we can just give any hypothetical, or we can talk about not even hypothetical. We can talk about real life cases of humans that have intelligence that could be comparable to, say, a pig or a dog, you know, born with severe defects, or that they are in an accident and they end up with some of these defects. And then, you know, what about, so can we do it to them? No, why not? You know, we end up in this.
If you think about it, we're actually all in that position at some point in our life. Like, we're all born with very low intelligence, right?
Right.
And it's not like when you're born you have no moral value and then it increases as you get more intelligent. Yeah, it's like as soon as you're born, you have moral value, and it doesn't change over your life.
If anything, it's an inverse. It's actually that when you are born, you have the highest moral value, and as you get older, you get less.
The vulnerability,
and then when you get really old, you get more again. Right in the middle, it's true, isn't it? In the middle, we have really low moral value.
Your elders.
Right. Well, like you right now, you and I, our moral value is pretty, like, compared to a baby, a child, or an old person, we have lower moral value. Most people, if there's an emergency and you can only save a certain group of people, it's going to be women, children, and the elderly. It's not going to be you or me. We're going to be the ones expected to be saving the people and sacrificing ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, because it's the history of warfare, isn't it?
Right.
It's the young men who would go out and be the ones that would put their life on the line. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or be forced to.
Exactly. So actually, it's a really weird. But with animals, their vulnerability is their vulnerability is the reason to use them and abuse them, and the reason they have no moral value to them, or low moral value, is because of how vulnerable and simplistic they are. Not in all senses, of course. Some of them have incredible eyesight, incredible hearing, and stuff. But in general, cognitively, with the abilities to understand the world and understand each other, and conceive the things we can conceive, they are lower than baby level. Yet we treat them with so much contempt, right? They're treated with it's so crazy. They're punished for that, but a baby isn't. It's so strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's like we treat it as opposite. So like with children, their vulnerability is seen as a reason to give extra care.
Right.
But with animals, their vulnerability is seen as a thing to exploit.
Right. Exactly.
And if you think about it, what do you call an adult that exploits a child for their vulnerability? I mean, I'm not going to say the words, but
there's lots of words, man. There's lots of words. Yeah, it's a fucking disgrace. And so, but people. People doing it to animals get away with it, and when a vegan voices anything about it, even when we're kind about it, we don't even call them names a lot of the time. We just say, hey, it's kind of, we look at them like they don't deserve that. People are like, stop forcing your views, you guys are extreme. It's like, what? How is that making any bloody sense? You're the same when it comes to other animals that are just as intelligent, or similarly vulnerable to animals, i.e. humans. You would defend them just the way. In fact, I'm being kind to you right now. If I was doing that to a baby, you would kick my ass. You would kick my ass and possibly bury me under the prison. You wouldn't even give me a chance to go through the legal system, possibly. Whereas, like, if I calmly and kind of softly try to defend animals, I'm suddenly an extremist. How does that make sense, right? It's wild, man. Now we're into rant mode right now. Forget the reaction. Fuck it. I know you guys came here for this. Lawrence, I'll see you later, mate. You're out of here. Right, here we go. Let's just go rant. No, I'm kidding. I'll bring Lawrence back.
Kids' gloves are off.
Yeah, kid gloves are off. All right, let's continue then.
It's just a question of, like, how much good versus how much, like, suffering, and then also, like, what is worth it is basically the whole thing that I would put out there. But that's not a topic that I'm, like, debating. Like, I don't have enough info to really tear into it.
Well,
I would just say that is where that line is, where that weird gray area is.
Caroline should call one of my episodes. I'll shit all over it for her. She mentioned me at the beginning because I think I was the one who had said zoos are fucking garbage, and so I'm not gonna take over the show. But Caroline, if you want to have that conversation, call with me. But a little preview:
Sure.
the idea of like, if you focus on the bad, they do a lot of good. That's the argument Mormonism makes. So anyway.
Oh, so that's the host of the channel, I think, and he said, yeah, he said he's coming from a vegan perspective here, because he said that he's the one that says zoos are shit, right? And then he said, your argument of they do more good than bad is the same argument Mormons use. So he's using the atheist argument to shut it down, which I love that. And when this guy first came in, when I watched it fast earlier, he seemed quite good, but just spoiler alert, this is the best he gets, I think. No, tell a lie. He has 2 or 3 good points, but then it goes pretty south. But he's very confident, so maybe he would actually come on for a chat. Who knows? What do you think about that, though? Is the idea that it's the Mormon argument that they do more good than bad, so it's okay?
I don't really know too much about Mormonism, but I think people could just say it like generally about religion, right?
True, true. Well, they could try, but they would fail miserably. I mean, how anyone thinks that religion does more good than bad is just, that's insane. That if you think that, guys, even if you're religious, it's okay to say that there's more bad happened. Like, you're trying to change that and make it better, but you couldn't possibly claim there's been more good than bad done by a mass religion. I'm talking about here. That would be a very weird point, and not a hill I would recommend anyone die on, to be honest.
Yeah, just like the wars, the limiting of contraception.
Dude, there's so much, man. There's so much, man. Like we could literally, we'd need an entire 6-hour podcast to get into all of the history of all of the things that religion has caused, all the problems, all the delays of progress and all the violence and we that's a whole other podcast. But we're not an atheism podcast, so we're reacting to an atheism live stream.
I'll remove myself.
That's kind of where I'm at. You're fine. That's kind of where I'm at. Is that like you have like a roadside attraction, something that isn't like AZA accredited. It's just we have some animals, and the USDA technically says we're not abusing them, so we're not. We use them to teach people about stuff. And I've been to places like that. I've worked for places like that. I get where you have that gray ethical area, and where sometimes it's really, really, really hard to do the right thing, and sometimes you're inundated with animals you have to take care of more than what you can take care of. And I understand all of those things can happen. But when you have like a massive, very, very profitable company, I give it a lot less leeway. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing. I said, I'm not trying to jump into the politics of that. I'm just saying that like zoos and actual zoos with actual biologists that actually work there, I think they have a net positive in terms of like research and public education. It's can't get away from the fact that it's kind of sucks. It's always going to kind of suck.
This is so strange. I think this guy's his best angle here is that he's just admitted that he doesn't really know what he's talking about. I think the best thing he could have done when this call came in would just to have been to say, I don't know. This is not something I really know much about. I don't really know where I stand on it. I don't really have much to say to you. But he's gone in with such a confidence. He's so self-assured, but the stuff he's saying isn't actually good. It's right,
Yeah, well, and it reminds me of something George Martin Carnism debunked once said about, I mean, I don't know if he originally said it, but I saw him say it about animal testing, which you could also say about zoos as well, and other industries.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, often people will say about animal testing, it's horrible for the animals, but overall we benefit from it so much. And he was saying, well, it's not a justification just because we benefit from it, because that you can't justify oppression by the benefit to the oppressor, because that's why they're oppressing them.
Yeah.
Like literally any oppressor would say that. It's like, well, we can continue to withhold, votes from blacks or women, because it benefits us. Which, like, okay, yeah, it does, but you're missing the point.
Right, exactly. Yeah. This is kind of what I was talking about the other day when I said about these philosophical people tend to want to bring up all these philosophical nonsense, and this is kind of more what you're saying is more what I was trying to say, but I'm not sure if I got it out the way I wanted it to get it out. But yeah, it's the oppressors trying to use philosophical, waffle to argue to continue oppressing animals, and trying to avoid directly being responsible for it. That's why they go off into these kind of ethereal conversations about things that aren't really real life. And they're all doing it with the purpose of trying to continue doing what they're doing to animals. And it really annoys me. It annoys me when they try to, like use arguments to keep doing it. But it's even more annoying when they try to remove themselves from the actual violence and talk about it like it's something that doesn't really exist. You know, the philosophy bullshit. It's hard to define, but when you hear it, when you see it, you know it. Like Sam Harris, for example, you watch him answer a question about veganism. It's just a load of waffle. Philosophy waffle. You just get to the point, mate. This is not a theory. This is real life. And they talk about it as if it's a theory, and they are the oppressor. So it's a double whammy, isn't it? You know, it's a double whammy. It's like A, you're trying to continue just because it benefits you as the oppressor, and B, you're waffling to avoid taking direct responsibility. You are a coward in both of these ways, right?
I don't know. I've been talking this whole time.
Definitely.
Erica, what do you think?
No. I mean, there's just been so much interesting back and forth. I've been mulling it over, right? I mean, there's undeniably a benefit to zoos in the sense that numerous studies have come out that have shown that a lot of people's care for the natural world comes from, first and foremost, an experience at a zoo as a child, because this is the only contact that a lot of your average folks ever get with animals that they don't find in their backyard, especially if you live in something like a city. So,
but that's not a problem, though. Like, why shouldn't people just be encouraged to enjoy the animals that they're surrounded by, as opposed to having to go to these big animal prisons? Why do you have to see a tiger to get an appreciation for wildlife and animals? Why can you not look at birds? Why can you not look at pigeons? Why can you not look at ducks at the pond? What's wrong with those animals? Why does it need to be a gorilla or a tiger to have an appreciation of nature? It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, she did say there's been studies. I don't know if there actually are, or if she's just, some people say sort of like those studies or whatever.
It's a survey.
So I don't
It'd be
know
a survey, bro. It'd be like, what got you interested in conservation? I went to a zoo. It's like, okay, yeah, great. Yeah, probably.
So I don't know if there are. I don't know if she's referring to actual studies, but like, just from like my experience, which again, take it or leave it. You'll probably leave it.
Anecdote. Sorry, continue. Let's move on.
But it's like most of the people I know that, and I did an environmental science course, so my degree was on this. I was literally surrounded by people.
Right.
Like very little of them mention zoos. It's usually like David Attenborough documentaries and stuff like that.
Right.
That's what hits the mass populace. It's not going to zoos.
Right. Yeah. Well,
at least that's what I've seen. But again, I don't know if she's actually talking.
That makes sense, because how often do you go to a bloody zoo? But you can watch documentaries every day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Every time Attenborough releases a documentary, the entirety of the UK watches
exactly.
it.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's an undeniable benefit with that. Although I would also say there are some animals that are it's simply not, in my opinion, humane to keep them in zoos, because we could be informing people about sustainability using animals that are sort of more zoo friendly. So I think about like some of the big cats, like a caracal, right? Like a big felid that requires, a moderately sized felid, I guess I should say, that requires a lot of space. They range pretty far in their natural habitats, and as a result, at least at the zoo near where I live, they pace, right? Because they don't have enough space.
I mean, there's no animal on Earth that's in a zoo that has probably even 10% of the space they would normally roam in, right? I mean, what do you know any animal on Earth that would stay in one complete like little box cage for their entire life? Her point is good. It's a good point, but it extends to practically every single. I can't think of an animal that is zoo friendly by the terms she's going by. Can you? Do you know of an animal that would be zoo friendly?
I can think of like very limited. So, there are some animals that like way back in the day, they went down into a cave and then they evolved like in there, and they're used to just being like in one like small pond. So there was a species that was discovered recently.
Yeah.
But like that's literally like the tiniest slither of species ever, and it still doesn't really justify it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Again, we can kind of apply it to people, and it doesn't add up even then. Even if if we found some humans that were happy to, this race of people, they are very accustomed to living in a box, so that means we can trap them and put them in our box for their. No, that still wouldn't add up. Vegoons has tipped $5. Thank you, mate. And says, the podcast Species, hosted by the vegan Mac and Murphy, does a great job at helping people to appreciate the animals in their backyards, from pigeons to insects. That's really cool advice. Appreciate that. And everyone should try to appreciate these animals more, because they're all around. I mean, you don't need to go to a bloody zoo to appreciate animals. They're incredible. I sit here, and I've got a window right over here, guys, and pigeons often come and sit here, and sometimes crows. And I know there's pigeons, they're very common animals, but have you ever actually stopped and just watched them? They're super interesting, like all of them. They're just as deserving of your attention as a bloody tiger is. I don't understand why one is deemed to be worthy of protection and attention and one isn't. It doesn't make sense. They're all interesting to me. And they are to everybody if you just open your bloody eyes a little bit. And, I think.
And so I think there are zoos that really get it right for a lot of animals out there. But then there are some animals that, you can get it right or you can get it wrong. And there are others still that I struggle to think of like a humane captive habitat for something like a Siberian tiger that ranges over hundreds of miles over the course of any given year. So I think maybe the route we should be going with here is focusing on the animals that do thrive in zoo habitats and kind of trying to transition our way into, I mean, you're never going to get around the fact that we need to have some captive tigers and things like that because they might not be in the wild forever. And that's undeniably a tragic and heart-wrenching fact of the world that I really hope we can reverse. But, having some tigers in captivity or some caracals or, some African or Asian elephants, that might help us stave that off, or in the future someday we can reintroduce them if that ever does happen. But if we are going to keep some of them in captivity, perhaps it's in our best interest to focus not so much on having the public being able to see them and transitioning more into, an actual conservation habitat, if that makes sense.
See, now she's talking about something entirely different. And this is where I started to think, oh, maybe she's actually the voice of reason here. Because if it's okay with elephants, for example, or tigers or whatever, any animal that's looking at becoming extinct because of people, then we're talking about protection. This is actually protection. So to actually go out and catch an elephant because there are people that are going to kill the elephant, well, that's commendable. I absolutely support that. Then taking them away and keeping them in a place that is protected, it's a habitat, it's all designed to keep them safe away from people, and people aren't paying to view them or whatever. Or maybe they are. Maybe they're allowing people to do jeep safaris, but ultimately these animals are living as wild as possible, just within a protected, fenced-off area. They do this in parts of Africa. They have these huge areas defended by armed troopers, and the animals they're not wild necessarily, but they're as close as you can get, and they're doing that to protect them. This is what she's talking about. That's not a zoo. That's incredible that Damian Manda and his team are people who protect these places where they have rescued animals from poachers. This is amazing. This is not what the zoo person's who called in. That's not what she's saying. That's not what he's saying. But this, I don't know her name, but she's actually speaking truth finally, I feel.
Yeah, I think there's like a... You know how like we have sanctuaries, obviously animal sanctuaries, but they're predominantly like on land, right? Because I guess it would be a lot harder to have an ocean sanctuary because you're then dealing in 3D, if you get what I mean, rather than 2D. Yeah. So it would be a lot harder. But I think there has actually been a whale sanctuary set up off the I think it's off the coast of Canada. I might be wrong.
Okay.
Someone would have to look it up. But yeah, so I've seen these sort of places exist as well before, sort of like they're kind of like sanctuaries, right? But they're not as how we normally understand them. Yeah. They're like big open sort of areas or whatever.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was getting at. This is what Damian Manda and his team over in is it Zimbabwe, I think, and other places as well. Don't know this is what they do. They're huge, massive pieces of land, and the animals live there basically as wild as they would. I mean, they're used to people because people are patrolling all the time, but they're not interacting with people unless they have an injury or unless they need to move them because there's a danger or something like that.
Whenever it would actually be in their interest.
Right, that's the point. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
for those individuals, whereas others that really thrive in enclosures that humans would be able to kind of come upon and view them, we can kind of keep those the way that they are. What do you think about that, Caroline, as someone who's worked in a zoo?
Yeah, this is such a huge conversation in the zoo community. Like, what is an ethical way to house an animal that typically is very difficult to house?
Right.
You brought up the point of having these animals that are endangered in captivity so that we can protect their species if that their wild space disappears. And that's actually huge because zoos were directly responsible for bringing back the California condors, the golden lion tamarins, Blackfoot ferrets. Like, there's so many animals that literally would have gone extinct if zoos didn't step in and intervene. And you can't really predict, are Siberian tigers going to go extinct in the wild? There's a very good chance, but there's other animals that you can't predict whether or not they'll go extinct. So having a captive, gene pool to keep their species alive is one of the big driving forces for, I think, the support I have for zoos.
That is such a weird argument to make. We need to keep a captive animals just in case they go extinct. So we need to catch them and keep them in case they go extinct. It's like, I don't get that bit, really.
Yeah, this is like a big issue in general conservation ecology circles. So like this was a big issue when I was doing my degree. I just didn't realize it because I actually thought this way when I was doing my degree because I wasn't vegan at that point.
Right.
Well, I was at the tail end, but by that point I wasn't really doing anything with ecology or whatever. But I have friends now who sort of generally work in the sort of wildlife conservation space, but they are vegan, so they see it in a completely different way. But the big issue with like people like this woman talking is that they view animals on the species level rather than the individual level. And it's like a species isn't a thing, it's just a label that we've given a population. So it's like a species doesn't actually have an interest in continuing. The individuals have an interest in continuing their individual lives and like having a good time, right? And so if you find some, if I don't know, if there's like 4 Siberian tigers left in the wild and you put them in cages, like they've got what they don't know. Oh, well, she's doing it so our species can continue, so it's fine. It's like, no, all they know is I've just been put in a cage. Like, what is going on?
Exactly.
It's like they don't care if their species continues. All they care about is what's happening to them now.
Yeah. And what I find strange is, I mean, I understand the taking them out of the wild when they're in danger of going extinct because of people, but she's saying, but we don't know when they're going to go extinct. It's like, well, okay, but if there's no risk of an animal going extinct at the moment, i.e. we know their numbers are strong and everything's fine and they're not under direct risk, why would you start capturing them anyway? It's not Pokemon. You don't just, you know what I mean? You just fucking just go out catching every animal, putting them in zoos. And what kind of argument is just in case? What do you mean just in case? We know if they're in direct threat or not. This is, like I said, this is not Pokemon. We're dealing with lives here. These are real lives. And we can intervene if we choose to intervene to save them from other humans who want to kill them or wipe them out and sell the tusks and things like that. But otherwise, it's for example, I mean, this is kind of weird, but if there's like a natural disaster and it wipes out a species, isn't that? I mean, I don't understand. We need to capture them in case that happens. It's like, well, I mean, I don't see, like you said, that benefits only you really because you're thinking, I want to maintain the species. It doesn't. Those animals, you're not saving any animal. You're just keeping one species. How does that? That's just very selfish, isn't it? I mean, you can't prevent the natural disaster. I mean, if you could, great, but
Yeah, like with your example with the natural disaster, like with that, it's not sad that the species went extinct.
No.
It's sad that the individuals died in that disaster. It just so happens that a species then went extinct.
Right.
But that is not the issue in and of itself.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, like it's just us, like humans, we've just sort of like put so much value on the term species.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know like where we went wrong with this. Maybe it's just because it's like it's easier to talk about groups rather than individuals.
Dude, I think it's the same reason people love Pokemon. Like no, seriously, I'm not joking, dude. It was a phenomenon. It's probably one of the most successful gaming franchises of all time because ultimately it plays on this thing that we like. We like the idea of people like the idea of collecting, organizing. I mean, look, we've got, stamp collecting, train spotting, plane spotting. People love to collect and categorize and add more. Oh my God, I haven't seen that one before. And some people take it a step further, like coin collection and stuff. And then, okay, some people collect exotic animals. They collect exotic animals. And some people, they call it conservation. But ultimately, if you've got a zoo and you're filling it with animals, how are you any different than somebody who buys them and puts them in his expensive mansion? You are just a collector, and you're framing it as, oh, we want to save the species. Why do you want to save the species exactly? What's the... Okay, there could be some ecological impact of saving the species, but if the reason the species is no longer here was because of some natural disaster or because of something that's occurring that is not man-caused, then it's, well... I don't know. This is getting complex now. My point is that I don't see the logic in collecting as many animals as possible in case one of them goes extinct. It just feels like you got to catch them all Pokemon type argument to me. But maybe she would have something to say about that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and that is really the thing. Is like I said, there's amazing conservation work done by zoos. They do preserve the genetic integrity of their populations. They don't just interbreed the shit out of things and treat them horribly. There's amazing public outreach done by zoos. They're incredibly educational, and as Erica pointed out, that's something that can bring people into wanting to work with animals more. I always say animals are a gateway drug to science because people see them and then they want to go learn about them and they want to take care of them. And, there's nothing that's going to make you want to protect chimpanzees quite like going to a zoo, sitting this far away from one behind glass and watching it do very human things.
There's nothing that makes you want to protect chimpanzees more than going to see a chimpanzee in a prison that's been captured and forced to stay there. I mean, if only people would actually open their eyes and realize that what you're watching here, this is the opposite. This is what you want to protect chimpanzees from. The only reason to go to a zoo is to see why you fight against zoos, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I mean, that's how we would interpret it. Obviously, because he's so indoctrinated,
right?
Which is a term that atheists like to use. But anyway, but it also, what he just said shows like the depth of his cognitive dissonance, because it's like he said, so you go to a zoo and watch a chimpanzee behind a piece of glass, which they didn't obviously consent to that. Like, they've just been put there, right? And now they're forced to stay in that situation. And then he said, and watch them do very human things.
Right.
So even with animals that he can like relate to on a human to human level, like obviously we shouldn't be judging animals by how much they're like humans. It's just whether they matter in and of themselves.
It's just something that people do though. Yeah,
but it's something that people do. And even the ones that we relate to the most, he's still not getting it.
Right. Yeah. It's a good point.
That is the best way to make someone into a conservationalist. And then there's all of those articles about like we're trying to find a link between elephant swaying and whether or not it's actually a stress response or whether it's a boredom thing or whether they're just shifting their weight around because they're just doing whatever with their bodies, and there isn't a great link, but it's enough of an optics thing that it kind of has a problem. And like, that's a big ranking, and it talks more to just, is it actually an ethical concern, or is it an ethical concern enough for people to care? And then there are actually really bad things, and it's like you have this hierarchy of like of problems.
This is so strange. The elephant swaying thing, I don't know why he's chosen that to kind of question it. It's repetitive behavior. So animals pace. They do things to themselves. They self-harm sometimes. Like, for example, scratching the same spot. They bite off their own tails. They chew off their own fur. And these are all signs of actually them losing their fucking minds, basically. They start to go insane from the confinement. And I've seen elephants do this myself as well. I don't really see what exactly is he trying to question here? Okay, so is this really a problem? Or is it just boredom? Well, boredom, what do you mean boredom? Like what that is, they don't. If boredom leading to pacing or side swaying, that is surely a sign of something that needs to be dealt with. That's not something they're just bored. Well, no, they're so bored that they've started doing repetitive behaviors like pacing or standing side to side. Like, it is a problem. It means mentally, psychologically, you're not meeting their needs clearly if they're doing that. Isn't this well documented in animals that repetitive behavior is a sign of mental decline? I thought that was pretty clear.
Yeah, that's my understanding. But I would just say, like, if you put a human in a room, and they start to show the same like behaviors that the animals in zoos are showing, like, we're clearly not going to be then sitting on some YouTube live stream going, "Oh, is it an issue? Is it not?" Like, come on, mate. Like, clearly, like, I don't like these. You don't see them do this in the wild when they're with their families.
Exactly.
It's clearly, once they get put in these places, we start to see them doing this behavior.
It's confinement. It's what happens to them. Yeah. They're confined. They're under the complete control of people. They're being seen by people. They're interacting with people. They're doing all these things that they've never done before. They start having these behaviors, and they're negative behaviors. Of course they are. It's like I said, it's a repetitive behavior. And it's for sure part of mental decline. I mean, as I said, I thought that was the point I was going to make. So I was just waffling while I tried to remember what I wanted to say after that or before that. But the way he frames it as, we don't know if this is really a bad thing. And when you compare, he's saying this compared with other things that are so much worse, like people who abuse the animal. And then why are we focusing on the swaying? Well, because it's still a problem, mate. You can't just point at another problem and say that one's worse, so we won't talk about this one. That makes no bloody sense at all. What even is that? That's what he basically says here. There's way worse things to think about. Right, but not in the places where they're actually doing everything else pretty well. No, in those places, this is something they need to focus on. So I don't get why dismiss it like that. What a strange thing to come out with. By the way, we got a tip from Robin Hood, who says, someone should call the show and ask him if he takes the same approach with other injustice, and stopping it completely is extreme, and find a better way to own slaves and be racist. Thank you, Robin Hood. That's a good point. And yeah, I'd like to see possibly we would, I don't know, but a vegan calling up and asking what's where's the moral distinction here? Where do you draw the line and why? And that example would be a good one. It's a good point. I'd like to hear what he'd say to that.
That are unavoidable. So again, as I said at the beginning, I'm fine with zoos. I don't have a problem with them. I have an issue with people who exploit animals for profit, but
you hear that?
I have no problem with conservation. I have no problem with sanctuaries. I have no
So wait, I've got no problem with zoos, but I have got a problem with people who exploit animals for profit. I mean, this is not just cognitive dissonance. This is just, this next level. That's in the same fucking sentence, one after another. You'd expect at the beginning of the video, and then at the end of the video, when you forget what you said earlier, maybe something. No. One after another. I've not got a problem with zoos, but I'm against animal exploitation for profit.
Well, no, he just wants communist zoos.
But then he goes on to talk about conservation and sanctuaries. So not zoos then, mate. That's what you're talking about. Anything but a zoo. Like conservation, sanctuaries. Yep. Cool. And the great thing is, later on, by the way, remember this point, Lawrence, when he said this, I've got a problem with animal exploitation for profit. Remember that when we go later on, because that's coming back, right?
Yeah, I was going to say something, but I think you've just referenced that it's going to be coming up. So I'll save it.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
Problem with people who use animals for education is like an ambassador situation, as long as that animal is well taken care of and doesn't mind being poked at all day long, which few of them do, or you have a couple on backup or whatever like that. Again, these are things that I've worked for and done in my own life. It's a matter of what's the profit focus versus the animal welfare focus. You know what I mean? And when you go to like a nonprofit organization, something that's AZA accredited, something that actually has biologists working there, it's going to be a lot more likely that it's worthwhile, and it's something that actually you should invest in and spend time at. You know what I mean?
I think
it's just really difficult because pretty much anybody can slap the word zoo on anything. And it's like, I bought a shit ton of caimans and put them in my backyard. It's a zoo. Come give me $30, y'all. And that's what happens in Oklahoma all the time. And so it's kind of tough,
Yeah, I agree with that. There's, a large debate. Even people who work at small zoos have, very strong opinions. Like, you don't need to be AZA accredited because that requires a conservation aspect, and small zoos don't necessarily have the money to contribute to conservation.
Right.
So it's also a big hot button topic for them. The very last thing I did want to mention just before I leave you guys to move on is I would just ask people to trust the professionals. The people who work with these animals, they trust them, they love them, they're caring for them because they love them, and they've dedicated their lives to learning about these animals. So when you see an elephant swaying in the zoo, reach out and speak with the keeper, speak with the staff, and see if you can get the words from their mouth instead of anthropomorphizing and making assumptions.
Yeah, sure. We should listen to the people who claim to care about animals and imprison them and eat them. That's who we should listen to. That those guys really have the animal's best interests at heart always, right?
Yeah, well, and the people whose jobs like rest on animal exploitation, they're definitely the people to ask the advice of.
Yeah, well, you see an animal that looks like they're in distress in a zoo, definitely ask a zookeeper, the ones who, their livelihood depends on you not going to the press or trying to shut them down. So ask them, and they'll definitely make sure they'll no distress, no problem here. Don't be silly. They always do this. Have you ever seen they do this in the wild? You can see it. They've never really filmed it because, but yeah, they do it in the wild. Oh, I promise. Totally normal behavior, guys. Yeah. Nothing to do with me wanting to keep that money coming in, keep my job. Because, what zookeeper? Could you imagine if you go up to the member of staff, like, oh, why are they swaying? Because they hate it here, because they're having mental decline, because we took them from the wild. And then he goes to the boss. One of your staff told me that it's because of mental decline. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's because we can trust the staff in the zoos, right? We can trust these people tell us the truth. What a silly point that was. Trust the ones whose pocket depends on it. Yeah, sure.
I brought up elephant
stuff.
I brought up elephant swaying specifically on purpose because I did a YouTube video about me going to a zoo and seeing, and just random biology facts came to mind, and there was an elephant in it that was rocking back and forth, and the comment section was full of people saying, oh my god, that poor elephant, look, he's in this tiny little enclosure, look, he's swaying, and that means he's upset, and that means he's stressed. And I just linked, like, hey, by the way, that elephant had a massive enclosure, he was standing in the corner by himself, he just wanted to, and also there is no, the literature has no definite link between swaying behavior and stress behavior.
I love that. Massive enclosure. I mean, it can't have been that bloody big, mate. They're elephants. Do you know how far they go? Do you know how much distance they walk? There's no enclosure on Earth that is going to be big enough to actually give an elephant, at least no zoo enclosure on Earth. There are some, like I said, in Africa, in some countries in Africa, where they have these massive areas that are defended by armed troops to stop poachers, but no zoo on Earth has a big enough enclosure for an elephant. I can say that with certainty. Yeah, so if this elephant stood in the corner swaying, it is because most likely we can assume that they're depressed and going through some mental decline from being stuck in a place that is probably 1% of what they're used to.
Or less than that.
Less than that. What a cope this is. Yeah. What a cope. There was a really big place, and he chose to stand in the corner. Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, that's it's like giving a depressed person a really big room, and then when they sit in the corner and cry, saying, "Well, he chose to sit in the corner and cry." I mean, look, it's just like the room's massive. I don't know why he stands in the corner. Because he's depressed, mate. Because you've put him in captivity and now he's depressed. Like, what do you think he's going to do? Run around laughing? Like, Jesus Christ, come on.
Well, and also, like, elephants specifically, they're, like, super social, right?
Yeah.
They're not, like, lone rangers.
Yeah.
So, by the way he was talking about it, it seemed like this elephant was just in an enclosure on their own.
Right.
I mean, the space probably did cause issues, but, like, it wouldn't have been the only thing, you know, lack of being able to interact with other elephants and
of course.
This sort of stuff.
Yeah, of course. And then when their instinctive and natural behaviors get limited, they start to get frustrated. And one of the natural behaviors of elephants is they walk, don't they? They go really, really far distances. They go on those, they do, I don't know what it's called even, but they make massive journeys. They spend a lot of time covering a lot of space. And when you stop them from doing that, they get frustrated. You take away the things that they feel they instinctively have to do, and then is it any surprise they start acting out and having mental decline?
It seems a lot like there have been studies and it like showing, and it seems the one definitive thing that they sway more is if they have a more like predictable, like regimented day. If they know they're going to be fed at a certain time, it seems that they're just kind of bored.
If they have a more predictable, regimented day, they tend to sway more. Right. Well, that again, he's making it out like it's something that's it's harmless. Well, that's maybe, I don't know. Maybe you could say that the predictable and the regimented day is causing them to have stress responses, because why the hell are they living in a way where somebody else decides when and where they do things, right? It's completely against everything that they want to do instinctively.
They're just waiting for a thing to happen. So it's more of an, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean they're just abused and like doing this because to try to self-soothe, you know what I mean? Which is what a lot of people assume.
It's not, that's like, again, that's a straw man. No one was saying they were abused. It's not about them being abused necessarily, unless you would consider putting them in captivity, abusing them, which a lot of people would. But even if there's no actual like hitting of them or I don't know, there's none of them, no physical abuse and things like that. If somebody has taken them and has taken them out of the wild for whatever reason and they're swaying, it can just be because of what I've said. It's not like you're trying to hurt them, but it ends up hurting them. You know, an elephant could have been taken out of the wild to save their life. They might end up still doing this because they get frustrated and sad and worked up, and they start doing these movements, repetitive movements, because they're losing their mind. It can happen it could happen in a sanctuary too. Dismissing it as, oh, but we don't know if it's bad. Well, it's ridiculous. Of course we know it's bad. It's repetitive behaviors that they don't do in the wild that they do in captivity. So we can assume it's something that's not good. We can, we should err on the side of caution and assume it's bad and try to look for ways to stop it, right? Oh, maybe it's not so bad. It's just a crazy way of seeing it. Sorry, man, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I mean, maybe if people think about it like this, like, so if he's saying, if you see an elephant standing in a corner in a zoo swaying, it's not necessarily a cause for concern. Okay, so take away the zoo. Imagine there's an elephant in the wild. All the other elephants are doing these long hikes together, roaming around, going to the water hole. But there's one elephant just stood on their own under a tree swaying. Well, we're still going to think there's no issue. I mean, clearly there's an issue. We're just swapping the zoo for the wild.
Yeah,
you get what I mean?
Right. You're totally right. By the way, we got a tip. Thank you, Bumblebee. It says, yesterday at work, me and some co-workers saw a wasp that was unable to fly. As it was crawling on the floor and up the wall, my co-workers insisted on me killing it so I could put it in a cup and release. On killing it, so I put it in a cup and released outside. After I did that, they called me a pussy. Lol. What a strange, people are so strange. Why does it make you a pussy? In fact, you're braver to catch a wasp and take them outside is brave, because they might sting you, and a lot of people are scared of wasps. It's the pussy move is to kill the wasp, because that's the pussy move is, oh, I'm so much bigger and stronger, so I can just literally kill. I mean, that's the easy thing. That's the pussy thing to do. The difficult thing is what you did, and I always encourage anyone to do that. Why? It's not even, you don't even need to argue for insects like rights or whatever, just to not kill them. Why kill them? What's the point? Just take them outside. It's easy. There's just no need. I don't, in life, I mean, I feel personally, I've got a bit of a thing about this, that whatever the life is, if you don't need to kill it, don't kill it. Killing as an action is I don't know. I don't particularly want to do it to any being. And I even if someone will make the argument that, oh, but what if the insect is the same as like a plant? Well, I don't need to kill them, so I'll still just take them outside anyway. I don't get this concept of people just killing spiders and stuff. It doesn't make sense to me. Just take them out. Why do you want to be aggressive and violent? It's a violent thing, isn't it? To swat an ant or swat a fly, kill a fly, or it's killing. Why not just avoid it? Just take them out.
Yeah, or just I mean, even if like you're not convinced that they are like sentient, just err on the side of caution. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, basically, I just never really understood that when people just kill them. It's not even like a hippy dippy thing for me. I'm just like, why though? It's just so violent and unnecessary, aggressive. Just catch them. Don't you want to be a protector or a carer, even if the animal doesn't really know anything, or even if they're so simple? It's not. I just don't get why you just want to be mindlessly aggressive, like bang. Why? Why are you being so aggressive? Why do that? Go punch a punch bag if you want to be aggressive. I don't get why want to punch a fly or punch a spider. It doesn't make sense. All right, let's jump back in.
Again, because like what you just said, they're anthropomorphizing. So I brought that up on purpose because that's one that like is a big optics thing that a lot of people get real fiery about that actually kind of isn't that big of a problem. And yet there are so many other things that definitely are problems that, you know, and so like it's
not one or the other though,
it's really hard. You can and it's a difficult conversation to have, but it needs to be had.
It's clear you care a lot, Caroline. I think that, you know, we are in good hands if we will be in better hands, I guess I should say, if more people are like you on this issue and truly do give a shit and want to improve our zoos for the better. So
yep. Most definitely.
I was just drawn to speak out because I know that it is an emotional topic, and I don't think we have enough.
All right, Caroline, wrap it
in
up.
my position, you know, advocating for the people.
They're sick of her as well. You know, you can tell, right?
So you know, I just I wanted to share that unique perspective.
Well, if you want to hear an entirely different perspective, I'm sure that Jimmy is vibrating right now because I know he's very much on the other side of this. So like, feel free to call in and tell him this and have him scream at you, and it'll be great.
I won't scream. But I'm gonna ruin everyone's day.
Aww.
It's not a matter of if zoos can be ethical. It's a matter if zoos are presently ethical.
See, this guy's a vegan,
that'll be
apparently.
the discussion we have if you call me.
He's bad.
Fair enough.
I don't know how.
By the way, guys, after this, they are going to talk about veganism directly, and they are going to talk about Cosmic Skeptic. So don't go anywhere, because the dramas... Maybe I should have just cut this first entire bit out and gone straight into the drama. I don't know. Well, we're here now anyway. We're an hour and 20 minutes in. We're just getting to the actual, the stuff, you know. But hey, it's a live stream,
this is
guys.
just the warm-up, isn't it?
It's a live stream, guys. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to... Do you know, I wanted to show you guys this bit because this is, as Lawrence just said, it's a warm-up, but it also gives you context because there's some stuff they said right at the beginning of this that matters for what's coming next. So I didn't want to just jump straight in because you wouldn't have had all the context, and it's a live stream, so we've got the time, right? We've got the time to take it easy and go slow. Right, Lawrence? You're all about taking it slow, right? You don't like rushing in, do you?
I'm not going to say anything because I feel like there's a hidden innuendo there.
He's a gentle lover.
Much I want to be yelled at. So I will consider that.
I just said I want to yell.
I'm much more happy talking to some biologists. I feel more at home with you guys. So I will consider your offer, Jimmy, but thanks.
So I got to pause because someone sent through a tip. Vegan Tiger sent a tip, and unfortunately, it's something that I have vowed. And I'm sorry, you can ask another question in the chat if you would like to, but I won't get into this. It says, now forgive me for asking this, David, but what is your stance on culling carnivore animals? I know this is a huge controversial statement in the vegan community, but yeah, just wanted to hear your thoughts. My thoughts are that I am happy that it is only in a very small part of the vegan community so far, and I'd like to keep it that way, so I won't be discussing it here. And if you want to ask another question, please just pop it in the chat and Annie can send it to me. Apologies, I won't answer that one, but it's just for many reasons. I'm not willing to have that discussion publicly on the channel, or even really privately either, unless it's with like very close friends, because yeah, there's a whole conversation to be had there. I appreciate your support. But it's not the conversation I want to be having on the channel, okay? As I said, please, if you want to just pop another question in the live chat, and Annie will get that question if I miss it, and we'll get into another question you can ask, okay, for that tip, and we'll get to that one. All right. And thank you again, and sorry again. There's only a couple of things I won't get into on the channel. That's just one of them, and there's not really anything else. I mean, there's probably other stuff too, but that's the only one that I've just I've got on like. I think there's a very short list of one topic that I actually have noted. There's probably many others. I don't know, Lawrence, what do you think? Are there any other topics that you think we'd never talk about on here? I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's anything else. That's why I'm like.
Well, I mean, it would be your sensitivities or like the things that you don't. So like, I can't impose what I would talk about on you if you get what I mean.
the child trafficking. That's something I would possibly not want to get into as well. But you brought it up, so I appreciate that. That's another thing I'd like to avoid talking about.
Well, there was the other one. The medicine from the big global shutdown.
Oh yeah, well yeah, the stuff because practically I can't. Okay, yeah, fine. Okay, there's some very hot button things that wouldn't make sense. Yeah, to be fair, that's one of them. Yeah. By the way, I got a direct PayPal donation from, I guess it's Vegan Games, who didn't want it. It says Streamlabs wasn't working for them. Thank you so much, and I'll read it out. It says, please consider doing a video on. Oh, it's not loaded. Please consider doing a video on crop deaths and what we as, and it cuts off. Oh, a minute, let me try and get it up. And what we as a community can do to help these unseen casualties. Thank you. I will definitely consider that. I've been thinking about that actually, and I appreciate the push. I will look into that and see if I can do something on it. And thank you so much for the donation. Appreciate it. All right, let's continue with this. It's about to get spicy now. They're going to talk about veganism and they're going to talk about Cosmic Skeptic.
Literally said I wouldn't yell.
Jimmy's nice. He's nice as long as he's nice, and then he isn't nice anymore. Once we'll see.
If you come at me sideways, I'm gonna be better at it. But if you don't, it'll be fine.
If you come at me sideways or as a zoo.
No, I will have a perfectly non-yelling, rational conversation with Caroline, unless Caroline starts lying or starts appealing to fallacies and just starts being dishonest or something. It'll be fine.
Right on, right on.
Okay, well,
we know a lot of people like this, don't we?
Right on. Caroline, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it.
Right on.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a good day.
All right.
By the way,
Here we go.
I'm not even a vegan or anti-hunting. I'm pro both meat eating consumption and pro hunting. So whatever expectation people have of my arguments to be, they should lower their expectations to zero.
Jimmy is over here doing the
pro hunting
off camera. he's pumped up. He's ready to go.
Actually, I've been swaying.
I've been swaying.
I'm also pro hunting because there's like, I've never hunted. I have no intention of ever hunting, but like the evidence for like the conservational benefits of it are beyond clear. And like people like to see a deer and they're like, oh, Bambi, we must protect it. It's like, no, they're rats and they're overpopulating everything and they're going to starve themselves to death if we don't cull them down a lot.
Hilarious logic once again. So we'll take a look at some of the places in the world where there's severe poverty, like severe starvation, people dying of thirst, preventable disease because of lack of medication, and just, you know, severe poverty. This is still places, a lot of places on Earth that are like this now. Not as many as in previous years, but still. And by his logic, well, let's go over there and shoot them then, because, hey, look, people look at these people and they say, oh, look at these poor people. Oh, no, they're just going to die of starvation. You might as well just get out there with a gun and pop them off, right? What kind of logic is that? It's so messed up. And this is a conservationist, bloody environmentalist nonsense. They're happy to do anything to animals as long as it helps the environment, but they would never hold that same standard for people. For example, killing 10,000 people will do wonders for the environment. Actually, killing lots of people would do wonders for the environment. But people like this guy would never advocate for that. Again, they do anything they want to animals as long as they get some perceived benefit or the environment gets some perceived benefit or it helps the animal. But they would never apply that same logic to people ever in a million years. And then we're back to that question again. What's the difference? What's the difference that makes it all right for one, not all right for another? Right?
Yeah, I got two things. One is like people always say like, oh, it's better for the environment. Like, what do you mean by the environment? Like, it's just environment TM. Do you get what I mean? It's
the
like
environment
we were saying
TM.
on the other... Yeah,
conservation
it's just like,
TM.
what do you mean by the environment? Like, the environment isn't just this thing that we just like bow down to and pray to the environment god or whatever. It's like, no, the only reason that we care about the environment is because it impacts sentient beings. Right. So, and the sentient beings you're going out and shooting in the face. And then the other thing I would say is I just think like it's just so sort of symptomatic of the sort of speciesist thinking, because if there was you know, some sort of well, I mean, there is an environmental issue with the human, like with humans, right? But we don't go straight to let's shoot people. You know, but with animals, it's just straight to, oh, well, they're causing some issue, so let's just shoot them. There's no exploration like of other things, you know,
Right.
of contraception,
Right.
or you know, maybe some other thing.
Lots
you
of-
know, it's
yeah.
just straight to let's just gun them down.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's what I was saying earlier. There are there are countries, there are parts of the world where there's extreme poverty. Our solution is never to try and kill them. Our solution is to try and do everything possible to save them. Killing them is not even on the menu. That's not even a thought. It's not even an afterthought. But with animals, it's just, oh, it's the only way. Why not? Why don't you give animals the same kind of attention, the same kind of care that you give these people? They're just as vulnerable as these people. These deer are starving to death. Yes, these people are starving to death. Yes, they're both vulnerable. But with the people, we recognize that and we try to help them. With the animals, we say, well, they're starving, so shoot them in the head. What? I mean, what is that, man? What kind of world are you trying to create? A world where, oh yeah, environmental stuff and conservation comes before like ethics? As in, you know, you're willing to commit horrible acts of violence, shooting animals in the face for the planet or for their own good, before you'll consider technology or different things that don't involve shooting them in the face. Like you just said, man, why go straight to shooting them in the face? It's crazy. It's almost like, Lawrence, it's almost like all this stuff is just an excuse to shoot them in the face because hunters like it. This guy said he would never do it. But, I mean, he seems to be pretty damn apologetic about it. We have a tip, by the way, from Vegan Tiger again, says, no, don't be sorry, David. I completely understand. Sometimes it's best to just avoid drama, and sometimes certain questions will trigger a huge scenario. That scenario is irrelevant anyways because we have to worry about animal ag now. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate your understanding, and I agree with that point. There's many, like I said, there's many reasons not to get into this, and what you said there about triggering a huge scenario, and that's one of the many reasons to not get into it. There are a few more, but yeah, I agree. Thank you for understanding. All right, let's see what other. It gets worse. This is the bit I wanted to show you, actually, you guys. It really takes a downward spiral from here. Lots and lots of weird stuff, including the thumbnail bit, the dog bit. That's coming up.
Yeah, that's sad though, because rats are like.
A lot of that.
Our relationship with rats and pigs, we have to totally refigure out because they're both way smarter than dogs.
They're so important. And like that, and it's like even that, the problem that deer are facing right now is also our fault because we removed wolves from the populations.
Can I just say something quickly? Sorry about this, Forrest Valkai. He is, I don't want to use any kind of insult, but he's spineless. He's spineless, mate. He just said, deer, oh, they're like Bambi. No, they're like rats. They need to be wiped out. And this guy says, oh, pigs and rats are actually smarter than dogs. Yeah, they're really important, aren't they? Yeah. Dude, you just called deer rats and used that as an excuse to kill them. Your boy on the call, who's most likely to host, who you're a little bitch for, it seems, told you, no, pigs and rats are intelligent. You didn't even push back one bit. You just gave in, bent over and said, yes, sir, rats are important. You just said you wanted to wipe them out. What the fuck is this guy? Like, have you ever seen something so spineless? You think maybe he's sucking up to the guy because this guy is someone, I don't know, is this guy someone notable talking? Maybe something like that? Because that was wild.
And also he completely flipped from going, like, they're a pest,
right?
We need to go out and gun them down, straight to, oh well, it's not the deer's fault they're in this situation,
right?
We put them in this situation,
right?
Like complete 180,
man. He's basically, and that's because he expected the host to be like, yeah, man, fuck those deer, and instead the host started talking about, hey, wait a minute, what you just said about rats is wrong, and then he started to make the opposite argument. Like what is that? What is this guy? Like, I mean, this guy is pretty famous too, like he's supposed to be some kind of well-known atheist, or he's made videos on lots of topics, but hey, this is embarrassing for him, just flip-flopping all over the place on this. Yeah. Does he not have any opinions of his own? Does he just, because like so far he buckled and got bent over by Caroline, and now he's buckled and he's getting bent over by this guy on the call. The girl who's on here, I can't remember her name. He said her name, Erica, I think it was. She's actually kept her mouth shut for most of the time, which is smart because clearly she doesn't know a lot, and that's when she talks, she's only saying what I know is this, and she's better because she's only speaking on things she's confident about. He's speaking constantly and having to retract and change his shit all the time because he's just waffling, So, yeah, it's really interesting, actually, how he's dominating this conversation, but just all with waffle. By the way, we got a tip from Carnist Nonsense. Thank you for the tip. Says, deers are like rats and need to be exterminated. Sounds like a typical carnist entitlement. Usually people who are sheltered and insecure talk like that because they know themselves are doing something incorrect. Also, I think the first mammal was a rat, lol. Yeah, it's a good point. It's like an overcompensation because they know... Yeah, it's what a lot of anti-vegans do. They go overboard with the violence and stuff because it's compensating for the fact they know that they're a hypocrite and they're fuckers. Well, this gets worse. I'm remembering now. Like I said, I watched it at 2x. This is nice for me to actually now watch it at 1x and actually get the intonation and stuff. But I know what's coming, guys, and it just gets worse.
From these communities quite a bit. We took away all their predators because we wanted to live there, and now we have a fuckload of herbivores.
You want to hear something funny?
That's exactly the issue, right? Like, we wouldn't have to, like, I am also for hunting under certain conditions. And honestly, if you really want to be quite plain about it, hunting for your meat is, like, significantly more ethical than how I buy my meat a lot of the time, which is from the store, which is a product of factory farming.
Okay.
So at least she's honest.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's still bullshit, though, isn't it? It would be more ethical.
But, I mean,
it's not.
Yeah, but she's at least got the sort of like honesty to say, like she's not trying to hide where she gets her.
I know, but it's still kind of bullshit because it's oh yeah, but it would be more ethical if you know that it's unethical to kill animals, which she does know, which is what she's kind of saying. She's saying it would be more ethical to do it that way. Well, then she knows that the most ethical thing to do would be to not do it at all. So it's kind of dishonest as well. She's drawing a comparison between a factory farm and hunting and saying, well, hunting's better, without acknowledging that you could also not hunt and also not fund factory farms.
Like false dichotomy.
Right, exactly. That's what's kind of annoying here. I hope she would. To be honest with you, I'm definitely like low key a fan of her because you're right. I mean, you're right. She's being better, but she's not being completely honest, I think, with herself. But she's definitely way better than him. I mean, when you've got these two up on the screen, she's clearly the one that is actually worth talking to. He would debate you till the cows come home. You know he would. You would just chat shit. She feels like she could actually be reasoned with and most likely come around to a vegan perspective after a conversation. So I'm going to try and go easier on her in case she watches this and actually we can be reasonable. She can probably laugh at this guy with us because he's been ridiculous on here. And I think anybody who watches this, vegan or not, can agree. He has been a spineless, flip-flopping, he's all over the place, doesn't know what he's talking about, agrees with everybody, like says one thing and then somebody disagrees, so he agrees with them and goes back on what he said in a second. It's mad.
So, all of that aside, Forrest is completely right. I think that, straight up, if we want to keep a lot of the ecosystems of the United States intact, hunting is somewhat of a necessity, as sad as it is. Same thing with, unfortunately, there's a really bad feral hog problem in the South where they are just decimating ecosystems as well. And that's going to exist until we as humans can successfully reintroduce some of the predators that we absolutely annihilated from the landscape.
So when she's saying that, she said hunting is a necessity as sad as it is. See, again, if you know it's bad and you think it's bad and it's sad, why are you funding factory farms then? How does that make any sense? Because she's not hunting, obviously, but she is funding animal slaughter, and she just said it's sad. So this is where I don't get that. Why are you not making this connection? You agree that it's bad and it's sad. And as this introducing predators thing, again, this is similar to the other argument, Lawrence, you made earlier, how the first point of call is to shoot the animal in the face. Is there not we've got to find a better way to manage these populations of herbivores when we take away the carnivore versus just throwing the carnivores back into a population of herbivores? It's the wildlife version of shooting them in the face, because you're still shooting them in the face. It's just a little bit different. Now a predator is ripping them to pieces instead of you shooting them in the face. Is there no other solution here? Is there not, like you talked about earlier, like contraception, medicine? Is there no, can we not try other ways before we resort to throwing a fucking wolf in there? Hey guys, enjoying it? Yeah, you got your space? Yeah, here's a wolf. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, that can't be the only way, can it?
Yeah. No, and I'm no expert in this, but it does seem to me like contraception is the best. it seems like that would be the best option, because it's just like, well, then they just simply will never exist. You know, they're not going to have to die in any way.
And you love that, and we know why you love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, I've heard some people even make the argument that this is not something guys. I don't know this. You're gonna have to check up on this, but I've heard some people make the argument that it won't take long for the populations to actually they can't keep going, basically. Like, it's not
of what did
of any herbivore, of any animal that is currently experiencing like an uptick in breeding because they have suddenly not getting predated. The food scarcity will cause them to, it will even out. They're basically saying that it happens in the wild a lot because there are natural movements of, sometimes there are less predators, sometimes there are more prey, sometimes there's less prey, and that means there's less predators, and this happens all the time. So some people argue that left alone, but then there's the problem with the wild pigs is that they come into the cities and they get more food, so they're not actually running out of food, right? That's the issue. But some people have argued that the protection of food, human food waste and things like that, the problem would eventually rectify itself as long as they're not getting access to human food, if that makes sense. Because if they can't access food in their habitat, eventually the numbers will have to rectify, and they have done. Like, it's something that happens in wildlife. I'm speaking out of my zone here, by the way. This is beyond my understanding. I've not read this up properly, but I've seen some people make this exact argument I'm making, and they know more about this than me. So I'm just saying that's something else that's going around, you know?
Yeah, that's my understanding, is that basically, like, predator-prey population cycles, they undulate. They don't just stay constant. And generally, if you remove a predator, well, what would traditionally have been a prey species will go up. So basically their population density increases, and that means more scarce resources, but it also means like disease will spread quicker and stuff like that, because there's more of them in contact with each other. So then it tends to crash, and then there's less, so it will then go up again. And, yeah.
Carnus Nonsense, thank you for the tip. It says it's quite sad, really, how she's appealing to majority. She's clearly using this statement as a coping mechanism to appeal to majority and not offend other meat eaters. Obviously, if she said it was fucked up, she would be labeled as a cringy vegan. It's a cope. She is, I mean, yeah, she's almost kind of saying things that are vegan friendly, but then going back on them right away, like saying, "Oh, it's really sad that people hunt." That's true. It is sad that people hunt, but it's necessary. It's like, well, I don't know. Is it though? I mean, like I said, there's not enough money and not enough time into looking at alternatives. People just, as Lauren said, jump straight for the gun or straight for throwing a fucking wolf in. I'm actually not sure which is worse, genuinely, at this point. To have some animals that have been existing without predators, to go in shooting their faces off, or to let a wolf go in and rip their faces off. I'm not sure which one's worse. The point is that neither is ideal. Both are really horrible options. Surely we can come up with something else. If we gave them the same consideration, or even close, just even a little bit closer to the consideration we'd give to people in the same situation, I'm sure we could find out better solutions. With the technology we have today, with the shit we're able to achieve, are you kidding me that we can't figure a better way? We must be able to figure a better way. Come on. You know, JP and Julia, thank you for the tip. Said, I had way too many friends. Then I went vegan and no longer have that problem without having to cull any of them. That's funny. That's funny. I like that. I don't know if that would work in this scenario, but for anyone that wants to cull their friends, you don't need to do that. Put the gun down. Just go vegan. You'll be fine. They'll never speak to you ever again or invite you to anything.
You know, but people are apprehensive about that because they're scared of wolves and they're scared of bears, even though they're awesome. And you should probably be scared of them.
You want to hear something?
As long as you're not a trophy hunter. Because if you're a trophy hunter, then fuck you. You know what I mean?
Well, except for the trophy hunting one's complicated too. Because again, I'm pro hunting and pro consuming meat, and there are specific like gazelle species, for example, that are almost going extinct in Africa. That there are wildlife reserves in Texas where you can pay a shit ton of money. It's like hundreds of thousands of dollars, over six figures, to go hunt one of these to have your unique trophy. And because you hunted that one, like 30 more are going to get to live, or whatever it is. They literally pay to keep their conservation stuff going by allowing people to hunt. So I'm kind of like if you eat it, too, if you only get the trophy, you kind of fucking suck. But as long as you eat it,
yeah.
I don't give a fuck. You want to hear something kind of fun and funny, though?
Isn't that mad? So again, just one thing. One thing first of all, this guy again flip-flopped. He said, "Oh, trophy hunting's wrong." The other guy was like, "Trophy hunting's okay." This guy was like, "Yeah." He's such a bitch. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. He just gives in. He's worse than Cosmic Skeptic with Michaela Peterson at this point. Like, he's so bad. And no, I mean, if you watch this stuff, feel bad, dude. Maybe you're not a bitch in all walks of life. Maybe it was just this video, but. If I were being a bitch like that, I'd like someone to say the same thing about me. Like, hey, dude, you were a bitch in that conversation. And then I could figure out what I did. Why was I giving in so much? So that's my message to this guy. If you ever get through to this, don't take it personally. I don't know about, aside from this video, but you were being pretty weak in this video. All right, look, what the hell was that logic that this guy was making just now, Lawrence? About the trophy.
Well, I mean, he was saying that if you kill an animal and only keep them as a trophy, then it's wrong. But if you eat their dead corpse, then it's fine.
What the fuck is wrong with people? Oh my god! And if you, hey, there's this species of animal that might be going extinct soon. So if you go and hunt them in Texas, these people will keep breeding them, and when you pay to kill them in cold blood, your money will go to creating more of them, so that more of them can also be killed in cold blood, but some of them won't. What the fuck is this? What is going on? How could you ever think that this system was a reasonable way of saving an animal from extinction? And even if, again, earlier on, like, extinction is not even as it's oh god, it depends on why they're going extinct. Of course, if they're going extinct because of people, I get it why there'd be an effort to keep them not from going extinct. If we're causing it, like, protect them from people, I get that bit. But, I mean, this isn't protecting them from people. This is taking them from one problem and putting them into another one. Why not just bloody protect them? There are charities that are set up for this kind of stuff. Why do you need to take money from sick fucks who want to kill them to protect some of them? This is just mental to me.
Well, and like, you know, if people have the money to pay to shoot an animal,
right?
Like, just donate the money. If you actually care about conservation, just donate that money so that if you want a breeding program to happen, surely it makes more sense to just donate, because then you'll have one more of that gazelle, because like in the situation you're going on, you've exchanged money like anyway, but now you've got 30 gazelle and one dead one. Well, you could give them the money and have 31 alive gazelles. Do you get what I mean?
It's mad, mate. Like, why? Yeah. What's that movie where they hunt people? It's not Battle Royale. It's another one where they release people.
Need more context.
They hunt them. They release people. They take people. They throw them into a jungle. And they go out and hunt them. It's like a sport to get the game they play in the movie. You're
not thinking of Hunger Games or something?
No, I'm thinking of a literal thing where the game is. They are hunting humans, and they trick these people or catch them, or can't remember how it works exactly. But anyway, it's like doing that. It's like getting people, putting them in a forest, and going out killing them, and people pay hundreds of thousands, six figures to go and hunt other humans, but then taking the money that they took and using it for an orphanage and saying, yeah, we go out hunting people, but we donate the funds to an orphanage. So it makes it okay for us to go out and kill those people, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Why? What the hell kind of logic is this? If anything, it's sick. If anything, it's sick. It's disgusting. The ends don't justify the means. Find another way. There's always another way of doing this. This is not... And people would act... I bet this guy's argument would be, well, but this is just the way it is. Okay, it is the way it is right now. And I'm not saying... okay, let all of these animals die if they're going to die without this money. But start thinking and coming up with a better bloody way than killing animals to save animals. What the hell? What kind of logic is this? What kind of messed up system is that? That some sick fucks pay to shoot down animals, and you're using that money to save this animal's brothers and sisters, and you're happy with that? Is it that's the system? That's how it's set up? What the fuck, man? That's crazy to me. Carlos Nonson sent a tip, thank you again, and says, another appeal to majority caller. Hey guys, it's okay, I'm not vegan, so you don't have to bash because I'm making excuses about justifying hunting and animal abuse. Go ahead, guys, keep eating dead animals when you don't have to. I fully support it. LMAO. Yeah. Basically, yeah. They're all kind of like dancing around the vegan point right now. They're about to dive right into it, though. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know how we get shit on by vegans quite a bit? And you and I especially, Forrest.
Oh yeah, no, I just posted a thing about the I Heart Pluto Festival going on at the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona, which everybody should go check out if you want to. It's really cool. And like literally, I have people in my comment section like, "These are scientists holding a festival and they're having meat there. What a bunch of assholes!" It's like, fuck, dude.
I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to start YouTube drama. I'm not going to say who I'm referring to. If anybody tries to speculate in chat, we're going to shut those chats down. The mods are hearing it right now. I'm sorry that my microphone is garbage right now. I'm using a headset. We've had to change our system while we get some things repaired after some updates. But anyway, I'm not naming names, and we're not gonna try and start some drama. All I'm gonna say is, Forrest, when we get shit on, usually people start saying like, "This argument's so bad. This argument's so bad." If y'all really were ready to have this argument, you would have, and then they name a specific creator,
Cosmic Skeptic,
that they tell us like we're obviously cowards because we won't have that person on to talk. And that creator yesterday came out as no longer vegan because it isn't sustainable as a health diet for him. And so I'm enjoying. I assume I won't have to deal with that shit for a little while because that little community is going to go eat itself.
No, we're here and we're dealing with your shit. So that didn't pan out very well. It only took me 5 days to get round to you. But no, we are here, and you didn't avoid it. We did deal with Cosmic Skeptic, but now we're dealing with you. But this is again a weird argument. It's not as if Cosmic Skeptic Alex O'Connor is the only person in the world that can have this discussion. You know, there's tons of people out there who are atheists and very deep into philosophy and logic and all the shit that I assume these guys are into. That can, and even if they're not. I mean, the arguments that have been coming forward in here have been really, really simple stuff. So, yeah, if the argument is, well, Cosmic Skeptic's no longer vegan, so, lol, people sent you him because he's a big in the atheist community. That's why, you know?
Well, and also, if these people actually looked at Alex's post and thought it was a good thing, like, that just shows how moronic their logic is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that post gave, I mean, as these people are supposed to be the kind of atheists that are, you know, reason focused, they're supposed to be doing all philosophical, logical stuff. If you looked at that statement and you thought, that's a really solid, logical statement full of certainties and full of information, then what the hell, you're just, it's cognitive dissonance. You know that statement was full of shit. You know it was vague as fuck. You can't, you can't use that for any kind of basis for any points, really. I mean, he's using it as a joke. Obviously, this guy, he's messing around, and I get it. It is funny that the person that everybody told you to talk to suddenly isn't vegan anymore, or is eating animals again. I get it, funny, but that alone isn't an argument. So let's see what else comes up.
Which isn't very vegan.
To that
I was about to make that.
I know this exact situation, and without elaborating, I perused that comment section in that Twitter thread, and I was absolutely appalled at how mean and hateful and rude a lot of the folks were being who were not okay with this particular creator's decision, which, as far as I can tell, sounds like it was health related.
Yeah, I mean, I went through a ton of those responses on his YouTube, on his Twitter. I looked on Reddit, and the vast majority were the vast majority, the top voted ones, were very, very reasonable, kind people, actually being too charitable in some cases. So people just chat shit, man. They just chat shit because it fits a narrative.
Well, yeah, but also, like, I mean, I know, okay, don't go online and be dicks to people, but at the end of the day, like, Alex is a big boy. He chose to put it out there in that format with very little information. Yeah. He can take the hit. They're just words at the end of the day. Yeah. He doesn't seem to be someone who's like, you know, psychologically unstable. No. If he was, why would he have put himself in that position anyway to do that? So it's like, he's a big boy. He can take the words, but the animals, they're getting stabbed in the throat. Exactly. So it's like, have a bit of perspective.
Exactly. And he's faced, I mean, vegans are not the most disruptive, dangerous people he's been up against. He's going up against the major religions of the world. You really think vegans are the ones that are threatening Alex O'Connor? You really think vegans are the ones having any impact on him? I mean, I'm sure he's had some severe threats and severe words from the fundamentalist religious people of the world. So, yeah,
well, probably death threats.
Probably, yeah,
probably from a certain peaceful religion.
Exactly. Come on. Well, Christianity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought so, and I hoped so too. But yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
huh?
All right, whatever.
Well, you go on then. Do you want to get into this?
It wasn't Christianity.
Which one was it?
Along with your
Which one was it? Which one was it?
Islam, obviously.
Wow. Oh, we've got guys. We've got an Islamophobe in here. I didn't look. I'm so sorry to anybody who's upset about this. I didn't know we had one of these here. Lawrence, this will be the last time you come on. And
right,
yep,
cheers.
sorry, I'll just get him out. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, no, I mean, yeah, okay. Nowadays, it's probably it's more likely that it would be.
No religion has a good track record.
That's what I'm saying, right? Now, it's not as common these days. I mean, actually, Christianity is not even that common these days anyway, full stop. I mean, people don't follow Christianity. They say, oh, I'm a Christian, but they don't. They're not. You know what I mean? They're not Christians. They don't do anything that the Bible says. They don't listen to it.
In the West, anyway.
Right, in the West. Whereas Islam is across the entire world. People genuinely, like lots of people genuinely do follow it. And so it's more likely that there's going to be more problems because like if you follow any of these fucking books to a T, let it be Christianity, I mean mainly Christianity and Islam, if you follow those books to a T, you'll end up being, you know, you have more of a chance of being some kind of extremist because those books are wild, guys. So yeah, anyway. Thanks for opening that can of worms. I couldn't just go past it, could I? I had to say something. Jesus. Right. So we have a tip, by the way, from Vegan Watermelon, who says, if these guys are so right and intelligent, why would they find the need to ban vegans? Instead, talk to them or have a fair debate. I've even spoken to meat eaters who completely agree with everything vegans say. They just aren't vegan because of taste. I didn't know that they're not banning vegans. I think they were just banning people who are saying it's Cosmic Skeptic. But thank you. If they're banning vegans, that's dumb. Yeah. What point did they just make that we were getting into just now? I can't remember. Can you?
So he brought up Cosmic Skeptic.
Yeah.
And then she said, I can't remember.
I'll just watch more of it.
I mean, guys, come on! Like this is
about how people are being mean
like
in the
it's
comments.
it's completely antithetical to the entire idea, right? It's like you're trying to reduce suffering. I get it, but like there was a lot of hate. I was not a fan of that.
You're trying to reduce suffering, but there's a lot of hate. What are you on about? Do you think?
And also,
go on.
And also, like mugging people off in a comment section is not antithetical to veganism. It's
crazy.
You know, you volunteer for a charity that helps blind children, but you're calling that's antithetical to helping blind children. No, it's not. They're just separate things.
It's wild, man. People seem to think that vegans are. It's all about love. Veganism is about love and compassion. No, not really. It can be. It can be if that's your vibe. If you're a hippy dippy person, you're love and compassion for the world. Fine, go for it. It is not a requirement of veganism. You can just look at an animal and be like, I don't like you. I don't want you anywhere near me. You're weird, but I don't want to kill you or exploit you or abuse you because I don't think that's right, even though I don't like you. That's it. That's the kind of vegan you can be. It's not about, oh, love, compassion. We can never be mean to anybody because of abuse. I made that joke in a that was it. In one of my workshops, I made this joke. There was a workshop I did in Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam, I just had this animal rights march, and somebody had taken a dog to the animal rights march with a sign on the dog that was saying like "Go vegan," right? Another activist. This is a true story, by the way. I wasn't there, but I was told, and that's why I made this. I made a part of my talk about this. So another activist said, "Hey, that's animal abuse because you're abusing the dog." And then it split apparently lots of activists agreed, disagreed, and had a big hoo-ha about it. So when I took that story, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this story silly, and I'm going to prove how basically nobody's actually vegan and make the point of this kind of rhetoric is really bad for us as a group and for you as a group. So I said, oh, I heard that this happened, right? So I said, are these people here? And they said, no. I said, fine. I said, look, so actually the person who did that to the dog is definitely not vegan. That's clearly, that's animal abuse right there. Yeah, because putting a sign on a dog is clearly abusing the animal. Actually, dogs shouldn't even be with people. They should be, they're domesticated animals, right? But we should kick them on the streets to get diseases. We shouldn't feed them. We shouldn't give them any medical care, because that's the real vegan way, right? Don't look after them. Like, no. You got to kick them out, right? That's the vegan way. So she's not a vegan because she's got the dog in the first place. And check this out. The person who told that person, you're an animal abuser, she's not vegan either, because she abused a human, and humans are animals. And mental abuse is still abuse. So neither of them are vegan. And actually, I said, how'd you guys get here today? Did anyone take public transport? You're not vegan. Because public transport, and I just went through all these different things just being ridiculous to make the point, And this is how stupid it can get and how ridiculous it can get. And this is what this girl here is doing. She's extended veganism out so far that it just starts to be nonsense. Like, nothing is vegan. Breathing isn't vegan. If you want to, right? So, making a comment online isn't vegan because you've hurt someone. It's stupid. It just goes into, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's like appeal to futility. That's what it is, isn't it, basically?
Yeah. Well, and also people are just making veganism out to be something it isn't. You know how when people say, like, oh, it isn't vegan to hurt other humans, it's like, well, it's not really what veganism is about. Like, yeah, don't hurt other humans, but you don't have to attach that to veganism. Do you get what I mean?
Exactly. Like, I've been told things like, someone on I used the C word. I dropped the C bomb in a video recently, and someone said, oh, you use the C bomb, use the C word. You've got a lot to learn about abuse if you think that's okay. Like, kind of insinuating that I didn't know anything about, that I'm actually not a good vegan or something. Like, shut the fuck up. It's ridiculous. These, insults don't make you vegan or non-vegan. It's fucking stupid.
Did you tell them, shut up, you C-bomb?
Yeah, I should have done. No, I just didn't respond. I don't respond to this. Yeah. People do that kind of stuff. It's a private account that has, like, I don't know. When they're private on Instagram, I tend to just ignore them, because it's like, what's the point? They're anonymous. You're not going to get any good out of a conversation with an anon, So I'm just kind of like, man. And I don't really respond anyway with stuff like that, but yeah.
The people who were
I'm not either.
out and
I'm not fond of that either. I will say I understand that when you create a certain community with a certain attitude toward a certain group of people, and then you leave that community, I would say they still are treating people like shit, and so you never blame the victim of abuse, even if you are the person who gathered them and taught them how to abuse other people. But I'll just leave it at that.
The thing is, right, it's not about him being a part of a community and leaving a community, and that's why people are upset. Although that's a large part why, that's what some people are upset, and it's probably a large part of it. But by far the larger part is that he's gone back to abusing animals. That's what people are voicing the opinion about. That's why people are annoyed. It's not about him like, oh, he's left our community. Doesn't fucking matter. If he decided never to talk about veganism ever again, nobody would be mean to him. Everyone would just be like, hey, look, it's a shame. We'd like you to keep talking about it. But if he stayed vegan, no one would be attacking him. It's not about that, leaving the community. It's not about that at all.
Yeah, and also, like, him, like, being so public about it, especially in the shady way that he was. Yeah. It's going to, like, encourage other, it may have a negative impact, like, wider than just him as well.
Of course.
And also there was one thing, I mean, I don't know if you would know anything more about this, but there was one thing the person said on there, saying that, like, or implying that Alex had, like brought loads of people to him and then taught them how to abuse other people, and then it got turned back on him. I don't see how he taught anyone to abuse others.
This guy's just a fucking pussy, man. He's basically what's happened is Alex has taught people how to discuss
morally accountable.
Right, how to discuss veganism, how to hold people morally accountable for their actions. Whoever this host is has been a victim of being held accountable for his bullshit. And so he's like, oh, he talked about how to abuse us, and now they're going to abuse him back. Shut the fuck up, man. That's so soft. That's such like a victim mentality. They abused me. No, they didn't. They tried to get some sense out of you, and clearly you've not been giving much, have you?
It's when your whole brand is being shitty, and then all of a sudden,
his whole brand is being shitty.
How is it?
What are you talking about, man? These guys,
these
guys are just pussies, man.
I don't know if Alex has some other side that, like, no one knows about apart from these specific people. I highly doubt.
They're just soft as fuck, man.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, has he seen his conversation with Michaela Peterson? He simps or he did simp for carnists. So
Yeah.
I get there was some, there was some speeches he gave that were like could be considered by carnists spicy.
Right.
I don't think they were spicy. I think they were just accurate.
Yeah.
But like, in no way was he particularly abrasive as a person when he talked one-on-one with people.
And this, I mean, it's, Alex simped as hard for Michaela as this Forrest guy simps for fucking everyone so far. Like, he's literally just like simp mode. Anyone, caller, I'm simping for you. The host, I'm simping for you. He's just ultra simp for everything. So, if you want to see what simping looks like, this is it. Vegan Watermelon, thank you for the tip. Says, currently watching your stream while doing my schoolwork. Thanks for your streams and outreach. It really helps me stay relaxed when I'm on the road or doing work. Also, what is your favorite animal? Mine's a rhino because they're strong and eat plants. Cool. Hey, I appreciate that. I'm happy that I can help you get through your schoolwork. And what's my favorite animal? Goats. Goats. Fucking love goats. They're amazing animals. I can't get enough of them. I just want to watch them. If you've ever sat and watched goats, you will get what I'm saying. They're so interesting and fucking weirdos, complete weirdos, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. They're awesome. What do you?
There's a goat sanctuary near where I am. I've never been there, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it.
Oh yeah, nice. That must be fucking. Must be amazing. They're just so cool, especially if they've got like a good area to play in where they've got lots of stuff, levels and things. They're just so funny. Yeah. They're like climb everything. They just stand in weird places for no reason. You're like, why are you stood there? What are you doing? Like they stand in stuff. They stand in the food bowl sometimes in the food and just stand there. And you're like, they're not eating.
Well, it's just because they can.
They just can. And I just can't. I think it's because you can't predict them. And I just love it. Last time I was hanging out with the goat, he nailed me one though, like boom, like headbutted me. This is, I loved how unpredictable they are. The day before I was there, like we're chilling out, all good. Go in the next day, and he wants me. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you up. And he was really going for it. I had to like, when they arch up and then boom, come down. Yeah. I had to kind of like catch his horns to stop him from making the connection. Like mid-air, like holding the horns, like no, fuck off.
Yeah.
I loved them so much. I loved them so much. All right, let's get back into this shit show.
It is. I don't know who you're talking about, but I'll look it up. I'm sure it won't be hard to find. But like that's what always got me is like the people throw veganism at me as if it's this end all be all thing for like morality, and like it's just.
I don't think anyone's ever thrown it at him as this be all end all of morality. Yeah. I think that's just a straw man, massive straw man, to be honest.
Yeah, and I can guarantee that all three of these points, I haven't heard them yet, but I know all three of these points are going to be utter dog shit.
Yeah. Three things very quickly. Like the main things you replace meat protein with are going to be wheat, peanuts, and soy, right? Which are like the most common food allergies in the world. So would it be right to call that ableist? I don't
know. That is the big reach, huh?
Oh, disabled.
Have you ever seen anyone as misinformed and just absolutely full of it as this guy?
Yeah. Also, I've never met a vegan who's been like, oh, I can't eat animals now. I've got to fucking chow down on those peanuts.
Right.
Like, who does that? Who has peanuts as a staple?
That's so weird. Oh my God.
He just threw it in there. That's a serious allergy for some people. Yeah, I'll throw that in there.
Right. And what a weird comment. It's allergies though. Yeah, people have allergies and they don't exclusively eat animal products because of their allergies. They eat the other things they can eat, of which there are a lot of plant products. Animal products, you're looking at how many types of, you can eat meat from a couple of animals. You can have dairy from a couple of animals. You can have eggs from a couple of animals. And that's pretty much where it ends for the main food groups. Yeah. So and then we'll look at vegetables and fruits and legumes. There's like so much option there.
It's thousands.
It's thousands. So what is he on about? As if people only have those three things they could eat. That's absolute insanity.
We're also talking about allergies. What's the most common allergy you can think of in terms of food?
It's dairy.
Lactose intolerance. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's like, I mean, what?
Like, what are you fucking hell, mate? This is classic. So there's first one, you were right.
Complete self-own.
The first one's dog shit.
Yeah.
And then also you've got like just obviously the financial barrier. It's prohibitively expensive to buy a lot of vegan foods. Like a lot of these, especially if you want like snacks. Like, it's not hard to go out and get a bunch of, shitty apples and whatever and eat those all day. But if you,
it's not that hard to go out and get some shitty apples and eat those all day. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? What is he eating on a daily basis? Like, what?
But also he's just contradicted himself. So he said, what are the things that you eat most when you're a vegan? Wheat, soy, and peanuts.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say that being vegan is expensive. Those are the 3 cheapest things you can buy.
And now he's going on about vegan specialty snacks as if, oh, wait, I remember this bit. Watch this.
you want variety, and if you want snack foods and things, they're pricey as shit, and you have to go to specialty stores sometimes. It kind of blows.
I mean, have you heard of crisps? Like, a lot of crisp flavors are vegan.
Dude, let's go through all the snacky food you can get from mainstream shops that are vegan.
A supermarket.
Right, okay, let's go through them. Right, all different types of crisps. Loads of them, right? Or chips, they call them in the States. And
a lot of different types of biscuits.
Biscuits, lots of different types of biscuits. So there's two big snack groups. He doesn't like fruit. They call them shitty apples. So fruit's not in. What are the snacky stuff? I mean, what are the snacks are there even other than biscuits and crisps?
Toast.
Huh?
Toast.
Toast? Like bread?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's kind of a snack.
It's a snack,
I guess. Bread could be okay, fine. But it's more of a... Yeah, he's thinking like packs of something you just eat. I think that's what he's trying to get at.
Oh, right.
Nuts. There's nuts. We already talked about nuts already. There's like
nuts.
Pretzels. There's God, what else? Like basically, like most snacky foods, you can get vegan snacks of them. Like most, it's not like you would.
America.
Huh?
Especially in America, it's not like he's in fucking, I don't know.
What is he fucking on about, dude? This is crazy. I mean, snacking as a vegan is not difficult at all. Especially, he's in the States, specialty stores. What do you want about most supermarkets in Western countries now have like lots of vegan stuff, or even there's dark chocolate. There's lots of dark chocolate that just is vegan, that is not even specifically vegan, but just doesn't have milk in it. So you can do chocolate if you wanted to. Man, it's what a weird hill to die on. Vegan snacks, but there's no vegan snacks. What are you on about, bro?
And also, it's like as if these 2 points supersede the ethics of killing an animal. It's just like so asinine.
What, man? It's crazy. Yeah. So people have allergies, and the snacks are hard to get. So put that cow in a slaughterhouse. Jeez,
and then also, like, nobody talks about, or at least I've never heard anybody talk about the fact that, like, a lot of the times it's still a capitalist system. They're still exploiting another country's resources. They go down to South America. We have this indigenous population that uses quinoa as a staple crop, and they clear cut a fuckload of rainforest and displace this people so that they can plant acres of quinoa to ship it up to your ass with your man bun in California, and you can feel good about yourself. What?
Yeah, and I guess with self-own here is self-own. Self-own here is that he doesn't realize that they're doing that at a far larger scale for animal feed, for animal products to feed to animals, to kill and turn into burgers and shit like that. So his self-own here is that, if you've got a problem with chopping down rainforests and, wiping out and pushing people out of their territories and stuff like that and all these kinds of things, then look at animal agriculture, mate. Why even? This is such a blind point to be made. It's insane. It's not this insane. Someone corrected me earlier. It's not insanity. It's dishonesty. It's complete and utter dishonesty. And he really thinks he's got something here, doesn't he?
Yeah, and also, I mean, just like if there's specific things you don't want to eat, like quinoa, then just don't eat them. Just also don't kill animals at the same time. Also vegans, like very small amount of the total quinoa eaten. Obviously, like the vast majority will be eaten by people. Like, well, vegans are people, but you get what I mean. Like normal, people.
Yep. Non-vegans.
And I forgot what the other thing I was going to say was. Oh, and about like, you're still playing into capitalism. It's like, okay. So we're both taking part in capitalism. It's just you're going the extra mile and stabbing a pig in the throat.
Exactly.
It's like we're both doing it.
Yeah. They try to equalize all activities because it's under capitalism. It's all unethical without realizing there's definitely a sliding scale or hierarchy of things that are more unethical than others. right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they try to, it's like no ethical consumption anti-capitalism. So buying some apples from the shop is the same as like buying slave labor, you know, like chocolate or whatever, where you know it's definitely from slave labor.
Yeah, exactly. He looks exactly that type of guy that would say no ethical consumption under capitalism. He just looks the type, doesn't he? I mean, that's you know, obviously, guys.
You mean an undergrad philosophy student?
Yeah, sure, exactly.
What's that? You know, like it's. I don't get it. Like it's just yeah, eat less meat. Sure, that's good for the climate. I agree. And factory farming fucking sucks. But at the end of the day,
well, it's
like,
only good for the climate if you only then source all of, kind of like you were just mentioning, only if you then source all of your veggies locally. The amount of which your individual contribution will be if you still go get vegetables from a regular grocery store that brought them by plane. It turns out that math doesn't add up.
Yeah, that's actually not true at all. I've even seen studies on that prove that even if you're eating vegetables and fruits that come on planes, you're still having a significantly lower impact than if you were eating animal products. They've calculated all this shit. It's all been done. But even so, the point is, it's not about like throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? It's not about if you can't source fruits and vegetables in an environmentally friendly way, then kill animals. That doesn't make any sense. It's like ethically don't kill animals because you care about animals. And then you figure out the other stuff. If you can't get local fruits and vegetables, don't just revert back to putting animals in slaughterhouses for the environment. TM. It's fucking bullshit, man.
Yeah. Well, and also he just sort of virtue signals and says that like obviously he's against factory farming. I'd bet money on the fact that he does fund factory farming. Of course he does, mate. So it's like, okay, so if you're saying something is despicable and you're still funding it, why should we even take ethical guidance from you about veganism? Like, why should we listen to your opinion about, oh, veganism isn't good? Like, why should we even listen to you if you're clearly not even, you know, abiding by the things that you yourself say are awful?
Exactly. They both fund factory farming. Both of the people sat here have both clearly stated, well, she has, and he didn't argue about it. They both fund factory farming, but they're both morally opposed to it, apparently. So yeah, you're right. There's no reason to listen to anything they have to say. They're both, you know, they both could easily avoid it, and they have the choices to avoid it, but they choose not to.
From what
and so it's like, well, I ate this local bread made from wheat that got shipped in from the Amazon, where they, you know, decimated this area to make more wheat.
Again, we're going to keep on debunking this over and over again because you keep saying it. If you're bothered about Amazon rainforest destruction, you need to look into animal agriculture, mate, and eat plant-based instead. If that's your focus, but obviously, even if that were the focus, you should really also think. This is what we're coming from, not an environmental perspective, and I actually don't like arguing that perspective. I'm just pointing out that he's wrong. The reason to not put animals through all of that is the ethical reason. But anyway, even his argument here on the environment is still bullshit anyway.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Erica. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No. It's totally fine. I mean, we're effectively on the same page, right? Like I had folks who, you know, it's weirdly topical, I know, but like. I had folks who were telling me, you know, pitching veganism to me for quite some time. And like Forrest, you know, I understand it's a bit of a fallacy from naturalism, right? But I do somewhat, it resonates with me that, you know, humans, we did evolve to eat meat. In fact, it was likely a very big step in leading us to where we are today.
Likely. Well, I mean, that's even, okay, let's steel man her, right? Steel woman her. Steel they her. Because wait, oh my god, I've opened up a can of worms here. Steal woman her or steal them they. Right, but anyway, even if she's right, even if she's right that it did play a massive part, so did what are we gonna do here?
Yeah, we all know what you're saying.
So did murder. So did abuse. So did you know, God, how many things got us to where we are today, right? Ridiculous point. What a ridiculous argument. These are supposed to be intellectuals. Why are you trying to use what people in caves did to justify today? So stupid.
But I mean, I don't know. She literally acknowledges explicitly that it's a fallacy and then says, yeah, it resonates with me. Fine. What? Well, religious people could do that. It's like, yeah, I know it's a fallacy, but like, I like it. So
yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. Like to know that oh, this is a naturalistic fallacy, and then to make it anyway, and just absolutely. I mean, what are these people supposed? Maybe they're not actually intellectuals. Like, it could be that we've been mistaken here. They're not actually positioning themselves as that.
All of that aside, I understand that that's fallacious. So let's talk about actual
Then why say it then?
Utilitarian change making here, right? I don't really eat red meat anymore these days. I eat it sometimes when it's offered to me, but mostly I've cut my red meat down and I eat, chicken and fish. And the reason is because someone one time brought it up to me. They were like, yeah, it's really stupid to try to get everybody to go vegan because no one's going to do that, right? Instead, everybody could do better if they, the whole world would benefit if everybody just reduced, right? If every single person reduced, we would make such a drastic impact as compared to 0.01% of the population going entirely vegan. And that's not to shit on vegans. I think there are a lot of vegans out there who do an awesome job, and they even proselytize their ideas without being, hateful or rude or whatever. But that being said, right, if absolutely everybody, two things, right? One, reduce their intake just a little bit, and two, vote for action that impacts the giant ass corporations that are responsible for 70% of emissions, right? I mean,
they're all focusing just all emissions, isn't it? This like they think that veganism is an environmental movement and they just can't get past it.
But also it's just such using companies as a scapegoat to say, well, the companies are the ones that are doing this, so therefore I don't need to hold myself morally accountable. It's like well, I don't want to swear too much on the stream, but like BS, like absolute BS. You would not be saying this about any other ethical issue.
But they're not coming at it from ethics. This is the thing, right? If they're talking about it on purely an environmental way, then I mean they have a point that people should be calling for governments to change how they operate in terms of using fossil fuel, stuff like that. Purely environmentally, that makes sense. When it comes to ethical positions, no, it doesn't make sense. Stop depending on your government to make an ethical decision for you, fucking weakling. If that's what your point is, but that's not their point, by the way. I'm strawmanning here if I'm making that point for them. I'm just saying the reason to not do this to animals is ethical. And anyone out there that says, I'm just waiting for the system to change before I'll be ethical, you're full of shit. It's pathetic.
Well, yeah.
That's it. But they're coming from an environmental point, so it's not fair for us to nail them down on the ethics on that side. But it is fair for us to say that you're not even considering that the reason to be vegan is not for environmental benefit. It's for animals. It's because we're against animal abuse. This is what they keep glossing over. So can I say one more point? That they know this, but mate, they know this. These people have been speaking to the Cosmic Skeptic followers. They've all got like a chip on their shoulder, so they know it's an ethical thing, but they refuse to engage it because they know the second they do, it's over. Which is why they keep talking about environmental costs and, we're shipping fruits and vegetables and all these things, because they know that if they go ethics, they lose, and they've got no argument.
Yeah, so when she was talking about how she stopped eating red meat and she's eating more chicken and fish now, was that an environmental point as well? Or,
yeah.
Oh, right. Okay,
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Because I thought she was making an ethical one, and I was going to say something about that, but if she was making an environmental point...
I thought so. I don't think she said anything ethical, did she? Like, what was the reason? She just said, yeah, it was environmental for sure. I'm sure of it. Yeah, because she's probably saw something Seaspiracy, and she probably saw that beef is bad for the environment, and then that's what she's done. Carnus Nonsense sent another tip. Thank you. It says, oh, fuck yeah, great logic. Let's reduce the amount of immense pain and suffering just because you said so. Imagine if she used the same logic towards the bad things happening to people or dogs worldwide. She would be bashed and called a psycho. Let's reduce the amount of immense pain and suffering just because you said so. I don't understand this one. Did you follow that one?
No, I didn't quite understand it either.
Let's reduce the amount of immense pain and suffering just because you said so. Imagine if she used the same logic towards the bad things happening to people or dogs worldwide. Oh, reduce. Of course, reduce. Yes, because it's emphasis on the reduce. Because she's just saying, we don't need to stop. Okay. We just need to reduce. And imagine if she applied that to people or dogs. We don't need to save people. We just have to reduce the amount they suffer. We don't need to save dogs. We just need to reduce the amount they suffer. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit like, that meme where someone's hand is sticking out of the water and someone's going to look like they're going to help them, and then they just high five them.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're reducing the suffering. Now they got a crisp high five. So
big one here. Yeah, personal responsibility. We should all do our best within our own little realms, but that means jack shit if you don't also vote for policy that's going to create that kind of change at a large scale. So I think it's twofold. And obviously, oh my God, this is all entire. The meat that I buy, you know, I'm gonna get on my self-righteous soapbox here. The meat that I buy is mostly * local, but and you know whatever from farms and shit like that from my farmers market. But that being said, it's the last thing on my mind to tell somebody who's living in a city that they need to drive their ass out to their local farmer's market. It's just not doable, guys. Like, I understand wanting that. I would like that. If the world was perfect, it would be perfect, right? But it just isn't. And you know, that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter.
Yeah, she's just going again environmental. That's why she's like, oh, local, it has to be local. I'll repeat what I said earlier. They purposefully avoid the ethical discussion because they've got no leg to stand on. And she would fall to pieces on it because she actually has empathy. He, on the other hand, I don't know. He seems to agree with everyone so far, but I reckon if a vegan came on, he wouldn't. I think he would. He only simps for people in his little you know, this little circle, it seems. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. This bit is purely environmental that they're talking about. They've not. We can. I mean, we could shit on them, or not shit on them, but they could be debunked just on the environmental points. Anyway, clearly they've not actually looked into environmental impacts of meat. But I mean, that's not even where I want to focus. Like I said, that's not. Yeah. That's not even the reason. That they're wrong there too. But the reason to not be doing this to animals is the ethics, and they. I think that I'm 100% sure they're avoiding it on purpose and not touching that point. Do you want me to continue? Yeah, you've gone quiet.
I'll shut up right after this. There's a core to the vegan argument that I completely agree with, except for that I'm not going to tell people where to draw their lines. So that's the big difference. I think that the concept of evaluating your relationship based on how comfortable you are with a certain amount of sentience in an animal is very admirable to do. And so kind of like you said, you've reduced your red meat. I've basically, I'm striving to live a mammal-free diet. I'm not succeeding completely yet, but I'm getting close, and it's way different than it was a year ago because having now spent so much time with rats, having spent so much time with pigs back when I worked on a ranch as a literal cowboy, and then sort of just addressing like the social contract we have with dogs and how naturally crazy it feels that we eat dogs or we don't eat dogs, how naturally crazy it would be to say, I want to eat a dog. We'd all go, oh my God, you're disgusting. And then to understand that pigs are basically 3-year-old humans, like they're, as far as the complexity of their brains, and rats are way smarter than dogs.
If somebody said they wanted to eat a dog, it wouldn't matter to me at all. We have way too many fucking dogs.
And there's the bit from the thumbnail. So the first thing he's disagreed on the whole fucking time, and it's, I wouldn't care if someone ate dogs, there were too many dogs. So I don't even know what to make about it. He doesn't even look like he's joking either, which is pretty crazy. Let's talk about what the guy speaking is saying, though, first off. He's talking about how his personal relationship is the reason that he won't eat them. I mean, what kind of fucked up stuff is that? Think about this. My personal relationship to you will determine whether or not you get a knife in your throat. Why would you want to operate on that premise? Why would you want to be that person? What kind of logic is that? You're a vulnerable, innocent being that can do nothing to defend yourself. And whether you get knifed in the throat or not depends on whether I like you enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything he just said about his ethics is just all about like me. It's like, where am I comfortable with this? What's going to make me comfortable? You know? Because I think what he's saying is like, if I see an animal being abused and it personally affects me emotionally, then maybe I won't support it. Maybe. Although he even concedes that he still does sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But so it's not like, you know, like I'm sure you sometimes get this as well. Like sometimes you do get desensitized to animal abuse, right? So like now I can sometimes see footage of animals being abused and it doesn't in the moment always emotionally upset me anymore because I've just become a bit desensitized. But that doesn't mean I then think it's like okay to do. It just means I'm not having the same emotional reaction. But for him, it just seems it's all about his comfortability. It's got nothing to do with the actual victim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they put this all. It's all selfish, really, really selfish. And the thing is, you can be selfish and you can still believe that animals don't deserve this, because it's beyond it's life and death. I mean, they are not when they're not considering animals as individuals that deserve like consideration beyond what they do for you, then you are gonna just end up saying like, well, I like them, so I won't kill them. But what I don't understand is, how do you not see that's also how serial killers operate? That's how some of the most violent people who ever lived operated. If I like you, you live. There's a mob bosses. If I like you, you live. If I don't like you, you're dead. Why would you want to apply that kind of logic to a sentient animal that can't do anything to defend themselves and did nothing wrong to you? I just don't follow that. I don't track that. And this numpty here, I mean, he's been a numpty throughout the whole video, but then now this Forrest guy is like, oh, I don't care if people eat dogs. There's too many dogs. Like, what's he trying to do? Like, what kind of loser even is he trying to just trigger the people so he gets the comments going? Is he trying to upset people in the chat so that he gets his numbers up? I mean, what exactly is he going for? He's not said anything meaningful this entire discussion, and then he says that. I don't know. This guy, to me, like, wasn't this when I watched him at 2x, he was more likable. I watch him now at normal speed, and he seems very unlikable in this discussion.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about him, to be honest. It would just demonetize the video, the stuff I've got to say about him.
But it's a shame, because we tried to be charitable too, and he just kept on disappointing us over and over again. What can you say, right? He's been terrible. And that point there with the dogs, that's why I used it for the thumbnail, because I was like, why'd you even say, if you said something as dumb as that, I'm going to put it in a thumbnail then, mate, because, like, what are you doing?
Because, like, when people say this sort of stuff about, like, pigs, cows, chickens and stuff, sometimes I give them the benefit of the doubt, because I'm like, okay, well, it's still like a dumb and immoral thing to say, but maybe they haven't actually met these animals. They don't know actually how much of an individual they are, how much, they have their own sensitivities, likes, dislikes, stuff. Most of these animals, they just want affection, or they just want to be left alone. But we do know what dogs are like, and we know they're like that. And you still say that stuff. I just think it's like despicable. And, like, to be honest, I really don't have much sympathy for people who.
Yeah, mate. It's kind of I get you. By the way, just really funny in the chat. I don't normally comment on trolls in the chat, but this troll just made the funniest. They do this sometimes. Do you know when they're so fucking stupid they spell incorrectly? So someone's just come in now and put "I love steaks," but spelt STAKES. And you know what's funny is this is so common. There's so many vampire hunters out there. It's so funny. And like, I don't normally respond or like, go after them, but this one's I just love it, because it just happens. It's probably, if I let me have a quick look. Just side note, let's have a quick look in my comments and see how I can do search by the word steak spelt like that, and we can see how many times it's happened. Because people are so fucking stupid. I don't know if they get too excited or okay, here you go. Like, do you want some evidence of this? Okay, I don't know. There's two. I don't know if you guys can see that. There you go. Steaks. They were up there for this. Like, look, these are all with the words spelt as I just did it. You see that, guys? And it ends as it ending there. Yeah. So over the last, couple years, it's happened quite a bit. That's all with the word steak spelt like STAKE. So yeah, very funny. Thank you for that. Okay, let's continue.
Well, eating, I would. I think we have a social contract with dogs based on the fact that we domesticated them, and we should try and even the ones that we do need to put down peacefully. I just would feel real weird about us changing our feelings about them to include being able to eat them.
So he said, okay, so his logic is, because we domesticated them, we shouldn't include them and eat them. Even if we had to put them down, we still shouldn't eat them. That relationship is important because we domesticated them. Well, what do you think we did to pigs, chickens, cows, goats, ducks and geese, mate? Do you think they're wild? No, they're domesticated. All of them. The ones in farms, they're domesticated animals. They couldn't survive in the wild. If they did, it would be lucky. It's more likely that they would starve to death because they've no idea how to live anymore because of them being domesticated. So by his own logic, he should be a bloody vegan. or only go out and hunt wild animals, which I would prefer not to do. But the point is, by his own logic, it's wrong what he's doing. You know, funding animal ag is wrong. So yeah,
I just have a feeling this Forrest guy is going to double down on his logic as well, just by his face.
Yeah, good point. Let's see.
So I'm trying to live mammal free, but I'm not going to tell somebody that their line must be my line, even as I advocate for my line. Chickens, however, so fucking stupid. Even the things they do which look smart, once you start testing the intelligence and adaptability of those smart things, you find out they're just super pigeons, and pigeons are the worst.
So there you go. There you have it, right? If an animal is dumb, and even if they do things and they're actually really dumb, if they're as dumb as a pigeon, then it's okay to breed them and slit their throats. Actually, you know, intelligence is his determining factor. So again, we'll talk about it in a human sense. If somebody is as dumb as a pigeon, does that mean you can kill them then? You know, what kind of argument is that from a supposed intellectual? That if someone, an animal, is so vulnerable because they're so simple-minded, they're so simplistic, they don't have high intelligence, and so vulnerable like a human baby, a pigeon or a chicken can do nothing to defend themselves, and they don't have the intelligence to escape. That makes it okay to kill them. That this is this guy's reason to kill them is because they're vulnerable and not smart. What kind of sick fuck operates like that, Lawrence?
Well, that one, I guess.
It's just fucked, man. I don't get how people can be so short-sighted and so say such sick things like that and have people like those two laughing. Look at them. Oh, it's so funny. They're so stupid and defenseless. Let's cut their heads off. What the fuck is wrong with you, you sickos? You're supposed to be intellectual people. And tell you what, they're giving a really bad name to atheism. I can promise you that. Because you know, you're so callous and cold towards little innocent beings. You're giving the Christians and the Muslims of the world all the ammo they need because they, you know, if they wanted to, if they were vegan, obviously, they could say, you guys are, you know, this is what atheism does. It turns you into cold machine-like robots or whatever with no emotions for weaker animals.
Well, yeah, and like one of the religious arguments is, you know, if you're an atheist, where do you get your morals from? Now, I don't think religious morality is good, but that's another thing, right? But like, I don't think these guys are repping atheist morals very well,
right?
Because, you know, if I was a religious person, I was asking atheists where they get their morals from, then I was seeing people speak like this, I'd be like, yeah, where do they get their morals from? Because they clearly don't have any.
Right. Well, not on this, at least, for sure.
Yeah.
Vinamunen, thank you for the tip. It says vegan for the animals. Yes, mate. Absolutely. And vegans try and bloody stop people like this reaching massive audiences and convincing people to be, you know, so horrible. I mean, I would hope in the comment, we'll check the comments later, but I would hope that some people called this out and said, hey, you know, some of this was nasty. Vegan Watermelon says, no offense, but the guy on the call sounds like a beta insecure little bitch sitting on a high horse thinking you can call other species stupid and name call them. Just proves how childish the fragile ego is. Can't stand people like that. Yeah, it is a bit. It is lame, isn't it? It's what's even more lame to me and which is horrible is to say, as I said, I can abuse this animal because I think they're stupid. And as I said earlier, what we're doing here, we're not agreeing with him that chickens are stupid. I love chickens. And even if they are stupid, it doesn't matter because we're steel manning his position. Let's assume they are stupid. They're really dumb. That's a reason to defend them and look after them. The same way if you have people that are really, really simple or have had some kind of, I don't know, psychological disorder or something, we look at them as vulnerable and we help them. We don't abuse them. I don't get how people see humans as that, but then they look at animals with the same problems as some humans and say, well, fuck that animal, I'm going to eat them because they have the same mentality as a or less of a disabled human, but the disabled human would get all my love and affection and care, but the animal that is at the same level of vulnerability gets a knife in the throat. What is that? It's sad, really sad.
So fuck chickens. They can all die and be eaten.
You hear that? We're kind of sick fucks.
It's just hard. It's. I think Eric hit the nail on the head, which is like it's once again as usual. Just do a little better is so much better than just like because like, there was a whole thing about like I forgot the exact numbers off the top of my head, but like it was like how many pounds of like wheat and like how many gallons of water you need to sustain each kind of like a pound of meat in each kind of livestock. And it was like, for chickens, for chickens, it was remarkably close, like almost 1-to-1, like a pound of grain and a pound of water becomes a pound of chicken meat, and you're solid. It's
I think that's fish. Like, I think chicken are 2 to 4 to 1.
Yeah, it was some and like pig was a little bit more, and cow was insane, and like that's really like that's the thing that I think about all the time. Is like, okay, what I'm going to get a burger, or am I going to get a chicken sandwich? Well, which one took more resources to make? I should probably go for the less resource intensive. And like that's the kind of thing that I think about. And like that doesn't mean that I'm never going to eat meat, beef again or whatever, or pork again or whatever like that. I had a steak 2 days ago.
So it's not important at all. So even the things he says are important to him aren't important to him. These people are just complete. What's the word when someone is just completely and utterly just useless, and you shouldn't listen to a word they're saying? What would you even call it? They don't even go by the things he says he cares about. He doesn't even follow. It's just, I don't know what the word is to describe that, but it's really, it's pathetic. But I'm sure there's a word to describe people that do this. I can't remember what it's called.
It's a hypocrite?
No, it's where they, no, it's not hypocrisy. It's something else. It's just, okay. Tim Schultz has got a good, it just says his opinion just has no value, basically, because the things he claims to care about, he doesn't actually care about in the way that he doesn't, he's making that clear. So then why even listen to any opinion he has? He's flip-flopped all over the place, and now he's coming out with this stuff about resources and stuff. Ugh. God, I'm getting tired of listening to him, to be totally honest with you, but I think there's a little bit more of this, and then they move on to something else.
But like, that's a rarity. Consider, you know what I mean?
Well.
And like that's, I feel,
or is
so
it a
much
medium
more efficient.
rarity?
Nice. That's so much better than just like no meat ever forever, because yes, capitalism sucks, and then they'll find a new thing to do. I can't wait for fucking lab grown meat. Like I'm all about like the revolutionary change. I think it would be so cool if because like here in Tulsa, there's this place called the Guthrie Green. And it's this park downtown. They had this downtown area.
By the way,
big buildings,
I've already watched this
concrete
bit. It
jungle.
just goes on for
like,
ages.
trees,
I don't know why he's talking about it.
They have every like Wednesday. They have food trucks come out and also a carbon capture, and also like so many.
Pods love it, and I love. I hate wearing shoes in the summer. I want to walk around and feel the the warm pavement and the cool grass and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they talk about loads of environmental stuff here, but I think they get back to veganism again. 1 second.
Do your part.
And that is.
Could be a disaster.
Yeah, it's great now. It wasn't great 40 years ago when it invaded your area and killed a bunch of stuff. But now we've changed ecosystems.
Listen, the animals love it now. The arthropods are digging it. So.
Hell yeah.
I'm all about like, because there's so many things. Like you're right. Like the clover thing is huge, or just anything other than fucking grass. Because number one, grass doesn't do anything. Nothing eats it. It just sucks. Number two, huge racist roots in grass, by the way. Just take some time and learn about that, about the idea that you could have a massive field of useless plants that you can't eat was a sign of opulence and wealth that had largely like patriarchal and white supremacist origins. Kind of sucks that that's still a thing, but whatever. You're not connected to that just because it's history. You don't know about that if you just grow up in a lawn. You know what I mean? But
fucking idiot. So far,
what is this guy on?
So far,
having a front garden is racist.
He's talked about ableism, racism. Now he's talking about racist grass, white supremacy, the patriarchy. So he's clearly he thinks he's some kind of social justice warrior, and he's fallen for the exact mistake that most of these types make, where he considers all these different things and now they interact, and he's being a strong white male who's going to make sure he's educated on these things, but completely denies help the most vulnerable, most oppressed beings on earth, and actually puts them in places where they are oppressed and abused. Yeah, really, this guy's a real social justice warrior, really standing up for the little ones, huh? It's such a load of fucking virtue signaling bullshit. This guy's full of it, man. I haven't seen this bit, by the way. We're into territory I've not been in, but this is wow, man. What a slime ball. You agree he's a slime ball? Or we're talking to myself here, bro. Why are you here? I'm ranting away. I need you to rant with me, Lawrence. Come on.
I said something right at the start when you paused it, so I don't mean jumping on my tits.
I got to shout at someone because he's not here. So you've got to get it. I got to shout at you instead.
He's just using buzzwords to make himself sound virtuous when actually he's just being a scumbag. So,
yeah, it's scummy as fuck, man. This is so slimy.
Maybe fix it. Maybe make your yard like a butterfly sanctuary. And also,
wait, don't.
Factory farming's fine, but open a butterfly sanctuary. What a moron.
Don't have a lawn because lawns are racist. Get some butterflies in there, guys. It won't be racist anymore. Fuck, man.
Like, there's so much to be said about like extended corporate responsibility as well. Like, you don't just make the products, you also need to be invested in how these products are disposed of and maintained and managed after they're used. There's so much to be said about like indigenous land management and shit. Like there's so much to be said about like how you can change like the whole structure of everything, as opposed to just, I'm not going to have a burger on, tonight. It's so reductionist, and it's just not good enough. I don't know. There's so much to be said. I wish we could talk about this.
You can do both. This is the thing he's missed a couple times now. You can have individual change and as well as try to create system change. But if you're trying to create system change while you won't even change yourself, you're full of shit. You're absolutely full of shit. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
I was just gonna say I think it's also just like a bit of a cop out because I don't actually think he does any of this stuff about systems change. Like I would be very surprised if he actually does any of the things he says. He's just saying, look, you guys over there, you're actually doing something. You're actually you're actually being upstanding citizens, but you're not doing this other thing. So none of it, because you're not perfect. I don't have to.
Whoa, mate. I don't know. I'm sorry if I feel like I'm rushing you here, but I just need to make sure that we get this in before we move on, because you've really misrepresented this guy. I hope you know that he turned his lawn into a butterfly area. So he's single-handedly ended racism and white supremacy and patriarchy in one go. All he did was cut down his grassy lawn and then built a butterfly sanctuary on it, and he's ended the patriarchy, he's ended racism, also white supremacy, all from that one fucking move. Because this guy, as someone put in the chat, he actually is like, we get accused of this from time to time as white male vegans of being saviors or something. Here is an example of what someone actually trying to be a white savior looks like. Like, I don't like using that word because it's been misused and it doesn't mean anything really anymore. It gets thrown around too much. But when he's sat here being all like, going off about all these things that he clearly doesn't do anything about, that's saviorism. That's exactly what it is. Virtue signaling and saviorism. Ridiculous. He's done it. And he's saying he's done it all. He's done everything apart from he shits on the most vulnerable, oppressed group in society, animals. But everyone else gets his help, his brave white help.
It's so fucking. It's a very big topic. I love how we went from zoos to this too.
I think though the fact that you have 3 of us here and all of us have reevaluated our diets at all should be considered a win, even by vegans. And it's nuts that they're like, nope, you're still not good enough. You're going to the equivalent of vegan hell, and that makes me sad.
No one in the world has ever said anything about vegan hell. And it's not about that they're not good enough. It's about that it's not good enough for animals. It's not about good enough for me or good enough for Lawrence or good enough for the environment or good enough for... No, it's not about that. It's about the literal victims of the decisions they're making. Not like victims of, okay, but if climate changes, then these animals suffer. Okay, that's like a... It's not a definite. These things are kind of what I would call indirect things that can happen. You can't directly say you buy a burger and an animal dies because of the environment, right? You can't say that. You can try to infer it. You can try to convince somebody that it's a very real possibility. But when it's a burger, when you talk about that cow, it's an inevitability. It's the only way that burger can get on the plate is from a cow, from the beef burger, okay? So that's why it's not good enough. It's not about the environment stuff is aside here, okay? Just focus on the ethics and no, it's not good enough, but it's not for me. It's not for Lawrence. It's not good enough for animals because every burger you buy, an animal dies for. That's why vegans get worked up. That's why vegans get upset. It's not about some club or some shit. But I hate it how they kind of represent it like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I also am somewhat skeptical about whether they've actually meaningfully reevaluated their diets. Like, sure, they may have
Yeah.
changed
had a
what
chat,
they're
didn't
eating
they?
or who they're eating, but have they done it in a meaningful way? So take, for example, Erica, right?
Mm.
Now, I got no hate for her as an individual. She's been chatting some major league bullshit, but like whatever. But she was saying that she's not eating cows anymore and she's now eating fish and chickens more, right?
Mm.
Now, like eating any of them is wrong, but if you were one of these like reducitarian people who thought that was a meaningful thing to do and you actually did it in a serious way, surely you would eat cows because they're bigger. You'd get more meat per death. Whereas with chickens, like
Right.
you have like a bucket of 12 wings. That's 6 chickens that have just died for one meal.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm not even convinced that even with their twisted logic, I'm not even convinced that they have meaningfully reconsidered their diet.
They've
And even if they had, it would be bullshit anyway.
yes, they've considered it meaningfully in an environmental
Yeah.
sense, but they're not considering the individual animals. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. August, thank you for the super chat. And says this is very upsetting to watch as I guess I enjoyed Forrest's videos, and his lack of ethics just makes me so disappointed. Yeah. I mean, to be totally honest with you guys, I don't know who this guy is at all. This is my first video I've seen of him, and I can't say he's very likable. I mean, I don't know. He's got everything that you would expect to be likable in a person. Like, he's very smiley, seems very friendly, quite, energetic and stuff. Like, oh, it seems like this guy's going to be cool. And then he just comes out with all this shit. So I understand why somebody may have watched his videos in the past. They're like, oh, he seems pretty cool. But in this video, he's not bloody cool. Maybe if you know something else where he's actually, maybe I'll watch some of his other content or something and get a bit more of a vibe for him. But this is not a good representation of him here. I can tell you that.
Vegan hell is just Gordon Ramsay's kitchen or something.
Yeah, really. Yeah, my mind was changed by some vegetarian friends that I had who were like, yeah, I mean, I didn't used to be vegetarian, but what I did is I started reducing, and, before I knew it, I was here. And, if that happens to me, sure, great. If it doesn't, sure, whatever. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have reduced my consumption if I hadn't heard from them. If I just heard from people who were telling me that, it was a piece of crap for, I don't know, having a burger when I was like 14 or something like that, I don't think I would have changed my mind. Like, in this case, right? I mean, and again, God, it's just math, you guys, right? If everybody reduces, we make a bigger impact than if 0.01% never touches, meat again.
I don't get why she keeps going on about that point. It's not like, so if somebody says reduce or somebody says go vegan, how do they think that this is going to create different behaviors in a way where like more people will reduce if you say reduce? That's not how it works. People don't operate that way. If you say reduce, people will probably not reduce, or they will reduce at a very, very small amount. If you say go vegan, lots of people will go vegan, and some people will reduce because they'll feel bad about what the vegan said, and they'll reduce. So it's like, by saying go vegan, you will have the chance of having somebody to go vegan by convincing them, but you'll also have the chance that they'll reduce. If you tell somebody to just reduce, they probably won't even do that, because it's not a powerful statement. Hey, if you just reduce because killing animals is wrong, well, it's not very powerful then, is it? If you don't really think it's wrong, do you? If all you want someone to do is kill less animals. You see the problem here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I would just ask these people, like, is what you're doing wrong? Because if it isn't, why are you reducing in the first place anyway? Given the fact that you're reducing, you clearly think it's wrong to kill these animals,
exactly.
unless they're coming at it from the environmental perspective, which I would just say, well, this is not the pressing, way of looking at it. It's the animals that is. But it's like, if you don't think it's wrong, why are you reducing in the first place? If you do, well, why are you taking these baby steps? Baby steps are for babies. Like, you're a competent adult. You're on a live stream. You're putting yourself out there. Grab ethics by the balls and just fucking get on with it, son or daughter.
Definitely, mate. So Atheist says, thank you for the tip, mate. It says, rarely I can knock out rubbish like like these lunatics are doing here. Yeah, there's a lot of rubbish, to be fair. A lot of rubbish.
And I think that you got to know your audience a little, right? I mean, we're talking about an obligate omnivore, right? We're only able to even be vegan today because of supplements. And I know that sucks to hear, and there are people who argue against it.
We're only able to be vegan today because of supplements, because we're obligate omnivores. We're only able to be on the internet today because the internet exists. We're only able to live to 99 or 100 because of modern medicine existing. We're only able to survive winter in some places because of heating and shelter. I mean, how far do you want to go on this?
Yeah. Well, I saw I don't think he's like very well known, and I don't know if he'd want his name out there, so I won't do it. But there's a guy I'm friends with on Facebook who occasionally puts like statuses to do with veganism, which are quite funny. And one of the ones that stuck in my mind, which he did ages ago, which is you know, some people say that we can only be vegan because there are supplements, which I don't think is true anyway. But you know, but it's like, some people, well, you could also say, well, we can only breathe because there's oxygen. Well, okay, but there is oxygen, so we can breathe. So what's your point? Like, there are supplements, so we can just take them if we need them. So what's your point? Do you get what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't need to go into this argument of, oh, could we survive? Could vegans survive without supplements? Yeah, there's probably, you know, ways of doing it, but and it would be a little bit inconvenient without B12 supplements. And some people are, there's a whole debate, but the point is, even if it were necessary, they're there. Exactly, they're there. Yeah. And if they weren't there, then it would be survival. So things would change and people would choose different ways of living. But it's not. She's acting like it's some kind of survival situation. It's like she's making the point of, I guess the point is for her is that it's a privilege now or something. Well, it's a privilege to live to 90. But I don't see you deciding to live to 30 because you don't agree with modern medicine or some shit. Like, it's such a strange comment to make.
Well, and also, how is it a privilege to have a supplement that costs 1p or 2p a day? I mean, come on. Like...
Well, let's see if that's what she goes for. 1 second.
I don't know how, but there are people who argue against it. I mean, guys, it's a privileged position to even be able to be vegan. Let's all try to do a little bit better and just remember to be kinder to folks. I don't know.
How brilliant is that? That I predicted it. I knew she was going for privilege, didn't I? Fucking said it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But even if it was a privileged position, those people in the privileged position would have more of a reason to do it, so that they can then, you know, bring down the prices to get it to the mass market to help everyone else. But these people are clearly both in that privileged class of person that could do it. So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, they're talking about that. Obviously, it's privileged position. Oh, there's these people. There's POC. Yeah, someone's saying in the comments here, the POCs, the poor. Yeah, okay, but that's not you. So why are you sat on a live stream to a load of people who are so comfortable they can watch YouTube bellends on live stream talking about privilege? Come on, fucking hell. WGUTR, welcome to the memberships, welcome to the team, the YouTube members team. Welcome to the Ram Fam. Now you're an official member of the Ram Fam. And guys, if you want to be a member too, get that cool green on your name, you absolutely can. Just join. Just click the join button. You can join the team. And also, if you want more bang for your buck, like, you support my channel, which is already bang for the buck, but if you want more bang for your buck, you could join the Patreon team and you get access to direct DMs with me through the Patreon messaging system. And I'm actually talking with a couple of you right now, a couple more Patreon members who are new, and some old ones have started DMing after I started talking about it. And I love it. I love doing this. Like, Lawrence, you just started a Patreon as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's great. This is what I love about it. I'm just saying, like, is the DMs part. You'll start to love this as well. It's really cool to have your core team in DMs, and you can you can find out what they're, they can give you advice or see what they want you to do, or you can ask them what they think of stuff, and like really connect with the people who like really go above and beyond to support the channel. So just wanted to bring that up to you. Do you have any thoughts on that, Lawrence?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I was caught off guard. I didn't realize mine was going to get brought up. But yeah, I mean, I've only recently started using it, so I'm not even like totally up to date with all the features yet. But I knew there was a messaging feature.
I'm just saying, like, for your guys, your channel's totally different topic. I'm just saying it's great to have the core people who really, really support you in DMs with you, where at a place where they're not caught up with all the other DMs, because Instagram is just a nightmare, Messenger is a nightmare. But if it's Patreon, it's like, when you go in those DMs, okay, these are the people that are like,
the special
these are like, they've paid for this privilege, and not just paid. It's not like you're pocketing the money. The money's going back into the channel, but they're part of all of this, and it's really cool. So guys, consider joining the Patreon team if that sounds good to you. I love it personally because, like I said, I get to connect with you guys in a really, really cool way where I can focus on your messages and prioritize you. So that's Patreon. And welcome, August just became a member here on YouTube as well. Welcome to the team. Love that. Love that. So they're your two options, guys. You could do both. There's actually quite a few Patreon members who do both. Because they want the green logo and they want the to be part of the team here on YouTube, but they also want the DMs and they want to be part of the Patreon team too. And I love you guys. It's fucking awesome. It's awesome. All right, let's see what else these two numpties have to say.
Maybe that's even a little privileged to say. I don't know. Let's move on. Let's ask
I'm gonna step away when you take the next call. I'm just letting you know. So if you call out to me and don't get anything for a minute, that's why. But when once you take the next call, I'll get it set up, and then I gotta step away.
I do want to say that I just double-checked. I went to adoption.com. There are 10 million children living in institutions and 60 million children living on the streets. We don't have a meat problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could, like, we have resources we're not exploiting is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, and it's right there. If we want to cut down on beef, we have 60 million children. It'd be very easy. It's just a modest proposal for you to consider. Just think about it. Right? That's all I'm saying. Just think about it.
Proposal. Just pork.
If you weren't the guy who said you don't care if people eat dogs, this joke would be more obviously a joke.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So with that,
oh my God,
that's so fucking stupid. But watch that one be the thing that gets clipped too. With that, we do have several people on the line.
Okay, I've started to think.
That wasn't even funny.
Maybe I should have used that in the thumbnail rather than the dogs thing, because I might have got
orphans.
Oh my God! I mean, I'm all about a dark joke, but the thing is, the problem with this joke, the problem with this whole segment and the jokes he's been making is that they're about things that this is real stuff. He's not a comedian. He's taking real calls with real people about real topics, and they're trying to get to the bottom of stuff. And this is a real fact about children, and there's real facts about animals, and they're kind of laughing it all off as if it's none of it's legit. I don't know. It's so strange.
He hasn't teed himself up well as well, because he looks like a bit of a bastard, just generally from this clip. And so then he's making a joke about eating orphans. It doesn't really, it doesn't really vibe well.
Robin Hood saying, make a short of that. And that's a really good that's a really good idea. I think I will do a short of that. Man, I don't even know, that was wild. I'll tell you what.
I didn't expect it to go that way.
No, I'll tell you what.
Even for him.
I'll tell you what we can do though. We can have a look at the comments and see what people have said. Because
I mean, definitely get them up. I actually had to scroll through them while we were talking earlier, and I mean, obviously it's a longer video, isn't it? So
there's
a lot
lots
of them are referencing other stuff.
Yeah.
They're talking about someone called Mr. Yum Yum, who I'm not really sure
that's
who
another
that
one
is.
of the guests that comes in.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe it won't be so good to the comments thing, because you're right, it's a 6-hour thing. But yeah, okay. Overall, yeah, we've said everything we need to say. That was some absolute nonsense right there. That was a whole load of weird shit. I don't vibe that guy at all. Maybe, I don't know, does he have some kind of dark, dry humor that we've missed? I mean, he's American, so I can't really imagine that being the case. They're not really known for that. But you wanted to talk about actually why do atheists go down this route? Like, I always thought, right, that atheists were supposed to be the bringers of truth. The ones who have broken out of the religious nonsense with facts and logic, and they come at it and they're like, yeah, we're the reasonable ones. How is it that they also end up going down the same roads as everybody else when, especially these are atheist influencers? Like, I don't follow, Lawrence. Do you have some perspective on this?
Well, I can give someone that, but the thing I brought up before we started was something slightly different, which I can talk about after. But
right.
I don't know. I think with this maybe is like, so let me use like Jordan Peterson as an example, right? So you know how when he first started off, it's like, okay, I'm watching this guy seems somewhat reasonable points, whatever.
Yeah.
And then just over time, he just got then he formed his fan base, and he progressively over time just got less and less reasonable and more combative, and didn't really seem like he wanted to get to the truth anymore.
Yeah.
He just had his own sort of like group, and
Culture
he wanted to
war.
do his thing with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like maybe atheists sometimes get like that. They sort of they come out of religion, or maybe they were never in religion, but they find their community and they're like, this is the thing, we're sort of, we're sort of like, we're solid on this.
Right.
But then they build their fan base and they don't want to piss off their fan base. And so they become less reasonable on other things. There's some, have you heard of Thomas Sowell?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, he's like an economist he's very old now, but he's an economist from America. But one of the things he says is he talks about like the role of intellectuals in society, and he says that one thing that intellectuals consistently demonstrate is that they're like very intelligent on a narrow thing, but really dumb on other things.
Right. Okay.
And there's this thing called the halo effect, where people will see someone who's intelligent about one specific topic, and because they're intelligent and competent on one thing, it's called the halo effect. People assume that they're competent on other things that sort of surround what they're, but actually they're not. And so you actually see a lot of intellectuals who they rise to prominence off one thing, which they are genuinely, informed on, but then they get asked their opinion on other things, and it's just complete dog shit what they come out with. And I think these guys have probably... Yeah.
I think Peterson falls definitely into that a lot because he knows a lot about there's quite a big area of stuff that he's very, very, very equipped to talk about. And then, but for some reason he strays off into areas where you're like, mate, that is a brain dead take.
Yeah. Like,
you're
what
like,
do you want?
Holy shit. Like his opinions on, like every time he does this kind of his own private personal smash or pass, you're like, mate, why are you doing this, bro? Did you see that? I showed you that clip, didn't I? This really funny clip of these comedians talking about this. I want to show it you because it's fucking hilarious. Hold up. So it's about they're making fun of Jordan Peterson in this podcast, and as to like why is he started doing this? Why is he giving his opinions on women? Here it is. Yeah. So I'll load it up and we can try and watch it together in this sharing thing. And it's really funny because it's like, it really shows you like, why has he done this,
The truth is, Jordan Peterson was using...
Sorry, you got the screen up, yeah?
Yeah, I got it.
Right, okay. So this puts it into perspective. Let me just make sure it's like big enough for people to see. And this is like, he's one of the, well, he's not an atheist anymore, is he? But I don't know. Okay.
Using Twitter as his own personal smash or pass.
I'm sure that'll be one of his shows on fucking Daily Wire. It's smash or pass
Well, we go back to the
Jordan.
beginning to show you what actually happened.
Jordan Peterson was using...
See, look, here it is. He made this comment about a plus size model on Twitter. And so people are like, these guys are ripping into him because they're like, he's using Twitter as his own personal smash or pass thing. Like he's using it as like a dating thing, like, oh, I would or wouldn't get with that girl, basically.
Using Twitter as his own personal smash or pass.
I'm sure that'll be one of his shows on fucking Daily Wire. It's Smash or Pass with Jordan Peterson. Pass. Pass. Pig. Pass. Smasher.
Wouldn't smash with your dick.
I wouldn't smash with Ben Shapiro's sister's cock. All right, Jordan. Let's get you back on those SSRIs.
we were kind of thinking you would do a show about
like
Marxism
and culture wars and stuff. And you would have thought wrong.
Jordan, we gave you $20 million here. I know we kind of said you had creative control.
It's my money.
Welcome to Jordan Peterson Smash Your Pass. If he passed the big button, the dunk tanks.
So they were just like completely taking the piss. I guess what we were getting at about how, why does he step out of his comfort zone and start making comments on models on Twitter? Like, what is he doing? Why is he's like, do you remember the post? It was this plus size model and he puts not beautiful. It's like, why does it matter to you? What are you doing, man? And he did it again recently too. He did it again on Twitter with another model. sorry, still not beautiful or something like that. It's like, dude, you're like 60, man.
Yeah,
oh
it's embarrassing.
God.
And like he's got a wife and kids, and it's not like he's some basement dweller.
No, he's not like he's supposed to be. Oh man, and that quip they made about, "Well, get you back on those SSRIs" was like, oh no, that's so bad.
Savage.
That's so funny. But yeah, it's wild that he does that, and it's part of the culture war. That's why he does it. It's part of the reason he does it is because he thinks that it's because they're overweight, right? The people he's talking about a lot of the time, that they're like obese. And it's like, if you want to criticize obesity. But lots of people find people who are obese to be attractive. You don't have a monopoly on what is or isn't beautiful, right? So to use a subjective term, this is what he did. He used the subjective language to be like, oh, she's not beautiful. Like, well, to you, maybe. Why don't if you think it's wrong to promote obesity, say it's wrong to promote obesity. Like, it's wrong to have this seem like it's healthy when it's not. Very simple. But to go out and say she's not beautiful, she never will be. It's like, mate, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? So yeah, okay, I get your point about the halo effect. What was it you wanted to talk about earlier about
so the thing
veganism?
I wanted to talk about, how I feel like atheism kind of, I don't know if atheism like logically follows to veganism or some sort of hardcore shit like that, but like I feel like it just sort of naturally flows into veganism, because so I think like religion really just should not be used as a moral justification for anything, but a lot of people try and create this chasm between humans and other animals, because they say, well, humans are made in God's image, or we're sort of special for some reason, but other animals, they're like fundamentally different, either they don't have souls or something like that. Now, when you're an atheist, you lose all of that, and you have to recognize that, well, actually the only reason that humans and other animals are here is because we've all evolved here. And so then you've got to be like, okay, because we've all evolved here and we have common ancestors, what actually is the fundamental difference? And actually, when you look into it, there isn't. Like, we all have central nervous, obviously like plants and stuff, but you get what I mean? Like the other animals, we've all got central nervous systems, we all feel pain. This is the thing that we all have a common bond in, and that's what morality should be based on. And I think atheists, they don't have this sort of fundamental chasm, different level of difference that they can appeal to. And so I think they try to impose it with some form of human supremacy or whatever, but I actually think if they were being consistent, atheism would nudge people towards veganism.
I get you. Yeah, if they were being consistent. If they were being consistent,
they were being consistent, but they're not. Yeah,
I get your point. I've said this before, that I've not done enough reading into this or researching into this, but I've got to, from what I have read and from what I think, it's more of a hunch than anything. But I think that actually mass organized religion, I would say that it is the reason, like that we do what we do to animals today. The reason that they exist in the ways they exist today, these farmed animals, in the systems they are, is, I would put it down to, in large part, the impact of mass organized religion on people. I would say that before mass organized religion, that even though humans were still killing and eating animals, right? I think before mass organized religion, animals had a much better life and a much better relationship with humans, even though it was still killing and stuff, but it was for survival, for necessity. It doesn't make it okay for the animal, of course, but I'm just saying it was a different world. And I think that this idea of we are elevated, better, we have souls and they don't, has enabled millions of people to actually abuse animals in some cases, but also to abuse them in the sense of like what most people would agree is abuse, but also abuse them in the way of mass breeding them and getting as much profit as possible out of them. I think that's only become possible in the scale that it has because of what mass religion taught people about what animals are to humans. I think if that hadn't happened, then there's a possibility, if mass religion never existed, there's a possibility that the relationship we would have with them would be completely different. There's a possibility. We can never know, but you could theorize that without that feeling of superiority that we were all given by religion, without that being a thing, if people were actually saw other animals as, oh, that's just another one of me, but looks different and stuff, I mean, can you imagine what the world would be like if we all looked at animals and we saw them as just other? Would we still be farming them like we are? Or would we be looking for other ways? Would we have put way more time and money into different ways? I think we'd be so far ahead, possibly, without organized religion and these ideas that it taught us, Christians in our country or Muslims or whatever. They all teach you that you're better than animals and that animals are here for you. So without that, isn't it fair to suggest that maybe the world would have been different?
Yeah, I agree in broadly. I think there are some religions that don't have that, some of the Eastern religions. I mean, they still have their issues, but they don't have this as entrenched sort of human superiority.
Yeah.
So, but I genuinely agree, how it's played out in practicality, it's been awful.
Yeah. And these ideas that have come from, the religions taught us all these different ideas. Like they taught us that some people are worth less. It taught us that animals are worth less. I mean, God, if we didn't have these mass organized religions, fuck knows what the kind of world we would have. We'd have to rely on people being more reasonable, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to imagine a world without it, but hey, it could have been. It could be better, could have been better or worse. Because obviously there's the argument that without religion, religious people like to say without religion that it would be carnage, chaos. That's what they claim, isn't it?
Maybe it probably is the case that humans have some fundamental need for something like that, because you see, in the West, as we've become less religious, we've just picked up other bullshit.
That's true. That's true.
So maybe that is true. Which that's just sad that humans are. Have evolved that way. But
it was like in the Avengers when Loki comes down and he's like, doesn't it feel good? You're free now because I rule you. So now you have actual freedom. You're born to be ruled, he says. And his point is that you crave to be ruled. You crave to be told what to do. And I'm freeing you from the why do I keep fucking forgetting B12?
Well, like freedom is slavery sort of thing,
Yeah, it's like shackles. It's like you are free from the shackles of freedom, because people get literally disabled by freedom, the freedom of choice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess it's because it's there's so much available to you, you don't know what to do. Or also, if you have the freedom to choose what to do, you're also responsible for your choices as well.
Right. And I think a lot of people.
Whereas if someone else is making all the decisions, then the mental toll of responsibility is taken off your hands.
Yeah. I think I think a lot of people, societies, maybe even been preconditioned to live this way, because ultimately we all do. No one is truly, actually 100% free to do whatever they want. There's many, many, many things and barriers to keep you in place. And then when those barriers, I think a lot of people would suffer when those barriers were removed, which is why your freedom fighters and anti-government people don't really get very far, because most people low-key want government to rule them. Rule me harder, daddy. They do, though. They do, man. Look at what just happened with COVID and stuff like that. Look at this whole pandemic situation. Look at how many people were crying out for government interventions. Rule my life harder, restrict me harder. Put more restrictions in. Let me tell you my neighbors are having parties. Let me tell you my neighbors are leaving the house. People were really fucking into it. These past couple of years really showed us what people are actually like, People really, it seems like a lot of people crave to be controlled, which is, which is fucked up. I don't know how we got to this point, but shit, it's not a lot of hope for the world. You think when you see all the stuff that went on.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to move on from this topic, because it's not the topic of the
Yeah, I know. I don't even know how we got here. So wait, let's go back again a little bit. So we came from atheism, veganism, and then we talked about religion and how it's impacted on animals, and how actually without religion, the world would be probably quite a lot better for animals. And then we talked about what was after. How did we get to control?
Well,
without religion, people would potentially be chaotic,
exactly,
and then we got to this point of people wanting to be controlled. Low key want to be controlled. High key, I want freedom. Low key, control me harder.
Yeah. Low key and low key.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Govern me harder, daddy. Okay, so cool. Well, I don't know about what we move on to. I feel like we kind of put this to bed, really. I guess you can be vegan if you are religious. You can be vegan if you're atheist. It's probably more likely that you would find yourself caring more about animals if you were atheist because you're not following some book that tells you animals are here to do what you want with them. But then you do find a lot of religious people who go vegan as well because they say God's creatures, we should treat them with respect. So, I mean, whatever way you get there, just fucking get there. Is the point, really, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to get into?
Specifically on like atheism and veganism. I guess the only thing I could say is like, I just think we need more people calling into these shows, you know, and I just think that the more we can try and expose the BS of these people, you know, like, because I do think atheists are probably a low-hanging fruit.
Right.
As sort of bigoted as these people were, you know, like, again, benefit of the doubt, they run a live stream or whatever. But like the people actually watching, I think they are probably, if they've shifted their mind on religion.
I thought you were like present. I thought you were going for past tense. Shit. They shat, Lawrence. It's shat past tense. Okay.
If they've shifted their mind on religion, then hopefully they're open to shifting their mind on other stuff. So you know, if we keep at it, then hopefully we'll.
Yeah, I think, well, you're right. I think atheists are definitely a group that should be more empathetic to what we're talking about. Religious people are much harder because the religion's really hard to get past. People get really pissy about, you know, think you're questioning their God and stuff. It's just fucking minefield. But yeah, you're right. I agree with you, man. Wiz Slanik sent a super chat. Thank you so much, mate. It says, I actually commented under this horrific video and the comment is in line with what you say. Thanks for your good work. Hey, thank you, mate. That's awesome.
Nice
That's
one.
a really good thing. We actually, guys, get over there on that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't, you know, I don't want to direct your audience, but it would be good if there were some more vegan comments under there.
Definitely, guys, definitely. And who knows, maybe this rant here, I'll do a short as well. Maybe one of these people gets offended and wants to have a chat with me. I would be happy to I don't know, debate these people because I don't know if there's a point. I'm starting to see a conversation because I mean it will be called a debate. I think I've moved for my channel now. I don't think I would do necessarily debates in the traditional sense. I think I would call it a debate. I would say, oh, it's a debate, but realistically, it would be a conversation, a discussion, and trying to convince them, and then trying to convince me, but not with like any kind of formal point-by-point thing.
Yeah, no bro sort of aspect.
No, just because, I mean, I've seen it, I've tried doing it that way, and it's been okay, but I really find myself more attracted to the human element. I want to connect with somebody actually as another person, not as an interlocutor, as they call it in the debate world.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a human-to-human connection. I think that's where I feel best and what I want, you know. So I don't think I'll be getting anyone on here for like debating anymore because in that sense, because they are quite dry, and I just find myself like I don't want to argue with robots, you know.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Like you've had one, haven't you? You put it on your channel, didn't you? Actually, did you put it up?
Which one?
You had like a robotic debate in Discord with somebody.
Oh no, I didn't put it up, but yeah, it was just like well, yeah, I mean, we don't need to go into it. But
so the point is like you get it. You get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Great. Well, we will. Yeah. So yeah, guys, if you want to find out what we're talking about, well, I don't even posted it, but okay, if you want to know what Lawrence does apart from coming on here and co-hosting with me, he does an anti-natalist channel, and it's his name, Lawrence Anton, and he will put it in the chat right now. And basically, he talks about why not to procreate, the ethical arguments to not procreate. If you're into that kind of stuff, it's interesting. I find it interesting. We've had actually a debate ourselves on there. I just, full transparency, I don't subscribe to it. I'm not an anti-natalist myself, so
Beta.
When you just so you know, like I'm not promoting this because I want you to go over there and be an anti-natalist, but I do promote people getting different perspectives on different topics. And this one, you know, it's an interesting topic, and it you know, the people talk about procreation with veganism, talk about different topics so it's good to get some knowledge and see where you stand on it. And then, you know, it's a nice thing to nice information to have. And who knows, maybe Lawrence will convince you and you'll be more you won't have kids. Who knows? Who knows? Or maybe you will. Maybe you'll be convinced by me in that debate and you'll have 5. It just depends on what you're into, I guess. All right.
I was genuinely surprised that you gave it a charitable hearing then. I was like, okay, here comes the baby hate.
Yeah. No, because I get a bit predictable now, aren't I? I keep saying like,
Yeah,
oh,
I know.
Lawrence hates babies. And it's like, it's a bit old. I'm going to have to come up with something new, you know?
Yeah, more inventive.
More inventive, exactly. But no, that debate we had on your channel was really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. And
but again, it wasn't really a debate, was it?
well,
It was more like
it was a discussion. But I know like a couple of people were not happy. Your followers weren't happy. But I feel like
that's always going to be the case, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I feel like I came out of it feeling more like I didn't just come out of it being more assured of myself. Like, yeah, I came out of it with more points from you. So like I learned from it and digested your stuff more, and I feel like it was useful for me. So, and that's the point, isn't it? Why else are you going to bring somebody on unless you're trying to change their mind, right?
To learn, yeah.
So cool. So go check it out, guys. Keep calling out that atheist BS. And before we round up, actually, one more thing. Week today, the Vegan Gains live stream will be going up. On Friday, Face the Facts Friday is back, and let me tell you, I'm not meaning to big myself up here, Lawrence. I know you used to like those videos, but I mean, since the last Face the Facts Friday to now, oh my God, things have changed. I mean, you're gonna see this, you're gonna be like, Jesus, how much time did you spend on this video? Because it's looking good, man. It's looking really nice. And for those that don't know what Face the Facts Friday is, it's a series that I used to do where I would cover news stories from the last week, and I would put it up and kind of have them all back to back. No bullshit, straight to the point, direct, some jokes, some call outs, some, you know, some dramas and some things, and lots of, basically for a vegan, it's great. If you want like vegan entertainment with some moral messages and also some call outs and some important shit all in one video of the recent news. That's what I used to do. Now I'm doing them monthly, and the first one I've done in a long time is coming out this coming Friday. And I'm really excited because it's a new style, it's a new vibe, it's more fancy. It looks pretty cool. I'm quite happy with the edit so far, and I'm excited to release it for you guys. And I'll tell you now that the main story, I'll reveal the main story. It's going to be about, why have I forgotten his name all of a sudden? Sam Smith, that's the one. So yeah, it's about that person, about some stuff that was said by vegans and by Sam Smith. That's going to be the main story, but there's more stories, and that's the main one because it's the most dramatic one. Big celebrity, lots of drama, stuff you might not have heard about that's been going on with vegans, and some weird stuff. So that's going to be the first story, and then we'll kick it off from there. So when you see that thumbnail with Sam Smith, you know that's Face the Facts Friday, and we'll get excited for it. You excited, Lawrence?
Pumped.
Yeah,
I'm pumped.
I'm pumped.
I literally can't wait.
Now it's monthly. I get way more time to work on them, so they're going to be like quite a lot, like a higher level. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, Lawrence, if you want to go, actually, I'm going to talk about really briefly, just talk about the memberships and stuff like that. I don't want you to sit there like gormless if you want to shoot off.
Fucking gormless.
Thanks for this, mate. It was a good one.
Okay, nice. Cheers. See everyone later.
See you in a bit.
All right.
So yeah, guys, I just wanted to tell you again that if you enjoy these streams, you want to be a part of the David Ram's team, the Ram fam, please do consider, as 2 people did today, join the team. We had WGUTR and August both became team members here on YouTube, which is awesome. You guys are absolute legends. So if you want the green logo, you can join here on YouTube. What you get is that really cool green, and also you're supporting the channel, which helps me put together more videos like this, call out more bullshit, you know, all this good stuff, guys. And then the Patreon team, which Annie just posted in the chat right now, it's the same as the YouTube memberships team. The difference is you don't get the green logo because it's not YouTube, but you do get DMs. You get Patreon DM system, which basically means you can message me anytime and I will message you back and we can talk about anything you want. So that's the priority that you get. That's a privilege you get, and I love it. So please do. I would personally, if I could choose whether you join YouTube members or Patreon, I'll choose Patreon simply because we get that DM option and I can connect with you in a more I can connect with you properly, like really we can talk to each other. However, YouTube memberships is also awesome. You guys are all amazing too, and I love seeing all your green fill up the live chat every time I go live. So actually, I love all of it, guys, especially because, you know, without this, we can't do what we do here. There's not just the work you're seeing here on YouTube. There's also the work going on in the background. We're working on a project right now that's going to be absolutely huge. Animal rights, vegan project. And ethics, 100% ethics focused. It's going to be ready to go or ready to be announced, hopefully by the end of this year. And trust me, once you see what it is and what we're doing, you will be very happy that you joined the team, whether it's Patreon or the YouTube members team. I promise you that. So get in there, guys. Join the team. Thank you to everybody who already is in the team. You absolute legends. Keep calling out that BS, especially the atheist BS. And I'll see you in the next one.